I made a promise yesterday to the nation. If the Las Vegas Raiders go out and they sign an edge rusher, I'm going live today. So with this news, we got some breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders have gone out and they have signed K'Lavon Chaisson. Now, I will say, I do not know yet whether or not that he has been signed to the active 53-man roster or to the practice squad. But this is a former first-round pick, somebody that's from LSU and does have a lot of talent. Unfortunately for Chaisson, and maybe unfortunately for the Jacksonville Jaguars, was definitely a little bit of a draft bust. I don't think that he was put in the best situations in Jacksonville. But at the end of the day, and this is me being very, very real with every single person that comes across today's show, and this is the reason why you should hit that like button. The reason why that you should feel good about this signing. If you believe in Antonio Pierce as a defensive-minded coach, check one. If you believe in Rob Leonard, the Raiders defensive line coach, check two. If you believe in Patrick Graham, check three. If you believe in Mike Caldwell, the Raiders linebacker coach who worked with K'Lavon back for Jacksonville, then you should believe in it. I believe that this coaching staff on the defensive side of the football, some of the best minds, and when you take some of the best minds and then you put K'Lavon maybe around a Max Crosby, maybe around a Christian Wilkins, give him another shot. We saw what happened with Cleveland Ferrell had a fresh start. We saw what happened to Arden Key when he had a fresh start. All it takes sometimes is for you to get that fresh start and it can click. And quite frankly, I'm going to bank on this Raiders defensive staff to make it happen. So I'm live here a little bit early. I usually go live on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Here's the thing. I don't got to leave today until 5 o'clock, which for all y'all means I can hang out and party here for 4 hours. And Jeremy and I have both said it's totally up to y'all. If you want to turn this into a shit show, I'm down. You know why? I don't even usually get crazy on Tuesdays, but I was so mentally frustrated yesterday, you know what I mean? Like, you would think with an NFL team like the Raiders that always is this ebbs and flows, it's a roller coaster, that I wouldn't get so upset after losing a week 1 game, that I wouldn't get so upset after losing to the Chargers, but just one time, you know, and I saw my guy Joe on Instagram, he posted this, he goes, just one time I wish the Raiders would back me up with all the trash talking that I do. So today is about putting a smile on your face. Today's about having a good time, and we are now looking forward to Baltimore week 2, and Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce said today we're going to make something happen, and they went out and did. And I know that some people maybe wanted Unique Gakwe, maybe somebody else wanted some other names, but we did talk about K'Lavon Chaisson this morning about some potential players that the Raiders could sign. That's why you hit that subscribe button. But give me that one-word reaction down below. We already have 830 people here watching. Give me that one-word reaction when you found out that the Las Vegas Raiders are signing K'Lavon Chaisson. My one-word reaction: upside. I think that there is some upside here in a long, lanky, rangy edge defender where I think Rob Leonard has done phenomenal work with an edge guy that we have right now in Janarius Robinson. And when you look at the tools at hand, K'Lavon Chaisson's a more athletic player than Janarius Robinson. But I think Janarius has done a good job of sharpening those tools, being a little bit more committed, just kind of going brick by brick, what Max Crosby always says. So to me, I think that there's some upside here. Senior Steve says it's clueless. Hey, it might end up being, but you know what I didn't want to do? I didn't want to sit around today, and I didn't want to have my you-know-what tucked between my legs because we didn't go out and try to do anything. The Raiders went out and tried to do something today. That's a good sign to me. I see temporary from David Walker. Marcus Teal says positive. Par for Sam Miller. Fire me from Raider Rudy. I think he means fire me up. I got a condor in there from Juice89. The Fluffer. That's a hell of a name. AP knows defense. And you know what? I think that he knows defense too. I also know that I got to do a better job of saving money. I'm getting married this year, and this is the biggest reason why. If anybody out there is trying to save up for a house, maybe a car, I don't know, maybe your dog's a lot more expensive than what you thought. Shout out to Rocket Money as a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Stop wasting money on things that you don't use, cancel your unwanted subscriptions, and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LVRaiders. That's rocketmoney.com/Raiders. rocketmoney.com/Raiders is how you do it. Also, I got to give a shout out to our other sponsor today, Live PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. I know my PrizePicks did not hit in the Raiders and Chargers game. Actually, it didn't even hit last night on Monday Night Football, but I had a good time. You know why? Because Alex and I, we sat down, we watched Monday Night Football from start to finish, which there's not many opportunities in my life where I can actually sit down and be able to do that. So download the PrizePicks app today. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. That link's going to be available to y'all. Both links are going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. And you're going to get $50 instantly when you play 5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks.
Big slip up on my part. Bears was in here before us, so if you saw the L3 down below, it's rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders.
That's what I thought. I was going to say, I said LV Raiders on the first one, and then, yeah, I had the other link in there, but okay.
We're trying to get it out as fast as possible.
That's on me.
I don't want to mess with our sponsors because we love Rocket Money.
They do. I mean, I've had Rocket Money for 2 years. Like, I'm not even kidding you when I say that. I mean, shit, I just found out the other way. Has anybody else been dealing with this DirecTV stream BS where you can't watch anything on television? If you tell Rocket Money what's going on, they'll, like, renegotiate your contract where I know it happened probably, like, last year at some point, and they ended up saving me. It was, like, $60 for 1 month on a bill just because I was like, I'm paying for the sports package. Y'all are falling short on that, and that's what Rocket Money can help you do. If you don't want to be the person that has to give them a call and handle all that. Alex Sanchez, believe me, I hear you down below. Javier Diaz says, fire Getsy ASAP, trash play calling. I'm not going to sit up here because I told myself I wouldn't, and I'm not going to be the fire this guy, fire that guy after week 1. I only did it because I was that confident that Josh McDaniels was going to fail, and because it was, to me, I was going to be that guy, fire Josh McDaniels. I'll tell you this right now, though. When the Raiders hired Luke Getsy, I think for anybody that watched the show in the offseason, they'll know this. I hated the hire. Didn't want it to happen. What you saw Getsy do with the Chicago Bears was be very, very vanilla. He blamed it on Justin Fields. He blamed it on the offensive line. He comes over here to the Raiders the very first game he gets, and I get it. Maybe he doesn't have the quarterback that he wants, but the offense is so damn vanilla. I feel like I'm watching a Josh McDaniels, Bo Hardegree, Mick Lombardi offense again. I feel like I'm sitting around right now wondering what the hell John Gruden's doing calling this game. When you see the way Kyle Shanahan, when you see the way Andy Reid, Ben Johnson, just some of these guys, Slovic right now for the Texans, the way that you see some of these guys draw up plays, and then you see Luke Getsy draw up a play, I wonder if he draws it up with his opposite hand. Like if he's supposed to draw it up with his right hand, he's drawing it up with his left. It's bad, bad, bad. But the reason why we're here live today is let's talk about K'Lavon Chaisson. And if anybody out there wants to get other questions going, because like I said, I can hang out for 4 hours today. You want to talk about Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, Luke Getsy, Antonio Pierce? You want to talk about the other player that the Raiders worked out today? I bet you don't even know who that is unless you're subscribed to the Raiders Report. But my point of this show is today, let's talk. Let's vent, because I know I wasn't live yesterday. Chugs and I just flew back in from North Carolina. But like real talk, let's have some real life conversations about the Raiders. But we're going to be focusing, looking forward, going into week 2 against the Baltimore Ravens. And we're actually also going to talk a little bit about Lamar Jackson today. If you haven't already hit that like button, well, click that thing right now.
1,000 likes or 1,000 people watching.
500 likes, I'm doing a beer bong.
Only 200 likes.
If we get to 500 likes, I'm doing a beer bong. I don't usually drink on Tuesdays, and I even told my fiance Alex, I'm meeting up with my cousin Erica later today for dinner, and I said, hey, don't worry, Tuesday shows, they don't really get wild. I've been trying to really save it for Thursday and game day, but I'm not kidding you. I have been in a rut. I have been like Chuck when I tell him to go lay down because Alex and I are trying to wrestle. I tell him to go lay down. He puts his tail between his legs. The ears go down. That's how I have been the last 24 hours after that Raiders to Chargers loss. And I'm not doing it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not being upset anymore. I'm going to be fired up that the Raiders went out and they got something done, that they went out and they signed K'Lavon Chaisson. So point blank, whether you like this move or not, let's have some fun today because I cannot be so damn upset like I was last week. And if your voice sounds like me, it's just simply because I was screaming, hooting, and hollering in 2023. What's up, Cassidy Gates? I see Gilbert Moreno down below. Daniel S. What's up, man? The
Gilbert.
Fluffer. I see you. Gilbert Moreno, the running back for the Raiders, needs to step it up. I think Zamir White definitely would probably tell you the exact same thing. And I don't even really mind how he ran the football. The problem with the entire situation is, one, he does have a fumbling problem. And he's had a fumbling problem. He needs to be able to hang on to the rock. Then I also said that Alexander Mattison deserves some more looks because I thought that he played pretty damn well. Also gives you a little bit more versatility in the game overall. But the other reason why I've said you have to consider starting Alexander Mattison over a player like Zamir White is because until you figure out your interior offensive line, I mean, let's just be honest. Cody Whitehair, and we're going to talk about him today, you got to put his ass on the bench. He's horrific. And then you got Andre James. He was getting pushed around this past week. You can't be a team that wants to be physical, wants to run a power run scheme with Zamir White if you can't block. So, I'm not going to sit up here and blame Zamir White a lot, but, I thought we got rid of Josh McDaniels. That team is stacking the box again. They are saying you're not going to throw it deep, and it's just a lot of dinking and dunking. I mean, I thought Minshew played well outside of the weird fumble, which I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. He didn't have a lot of time to throw, but 25, if you would have told me that Gardner Minshew was 25 of 33, I'm saying we're going to win that football game.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a lot of people that are freaking the hell out over how that game went, but again, if I'm sitting up here going, the Raiders missed a field goal and turned the ball over 3 times on the road against the division rival, nobody thinks that they're going to win that game. Nobody. But what is clear to me is a few things. You need to put Cody Whitehair on the bench. We're going to talk a lot about Luke Getsy today. That I can guarantee you. But I do want to get into the breaking news on today's show. We're going to get into the Raiders signing K'Lavon Chaisson. And after that, hey, let's put on our drinking pants. Let's have a hell of a day. I'm ready to turn up here with the nation. We got some breaking news here on the Raiders Report. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed edge rusher K'Lavon Chaisson. Yesterday, Antonio Pierce spoke to the media and said that Tom Telesco was going to go out there and look for a little bit of extra defensive end help due to the injuries of Malcolm Koonce, due to the injury to Tyree Wilson. We still don't know exactly how long Wilson's going to be out. Now, for those of you that are watching us live today, I'll kind of get into some of the details based on some of the conversations that I've had. But for K'Lavon Chaisson, I know there's going to be a lot of people that go, Mitch, well, who exactly is this and why are you live? Why are you fired up? I'm fired up about it because one, Tom Telesco actually went out and he did something. We've been sitting on so much salary cap money and just waiting around. If you're not going to go out and extend some of these players that I thought you could extend, you better go out and try to make this defense the best it possibly can. But I'm not going to sugarcoat this. K'Lavon Chaisson has been a bust. He was drafted in round 1 out of LSU, and he has been a player that has not lived up to the hype at all. So there's point 1 of K'Lavon Chaisson. But I'm also going to say this, and I'm not going to compare the two because they are different players at different positions, but everybody thought that Jack Jones washed up. Everybody thought that Jack Jones was a bum. No way it was going to be a good move. And I sat up here and I go, I believe in Antonio Pierce. And if I'm going to believe in Antonio Pierce, if I'm going to believe in Patrick Graham, then I'm going to believe in this move here. On top of that, we also know that sometimes you just need a little bit of a change of scenery. Rob Leonard has worked magic with some of these players on the defensive line, like a Janarius Robinson. Also, Raiders linebacker coach Mike Caldwell was in Jacksonville. Sometimes guys just need a little bit of a change of scenery. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my grade on this signing. And I think it's going to be a little bit higher than what some of y'all are going to anticipate. But this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. If you took time out of your day to watch this show, I want a grade right here. If I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to scream commitment to excellence about these players, I think us as fans need to bring that exact same commitment to excellence. If you're going to ask for it, you better bring it. So give me an A, B, C, D, or F. Grade the signing of the Raiders going out and getting K'Lavon Chaisson. I'm going to give this a B-plus grade. I do think that there's some legit upside here. And, when I was live talking about my one-word reaction, I said it's a B-plus move. We don't know what the money looks like yet. Also, at the end of the show here, we could talk about some other players that the Raiders could have potentially gone out and get. But here's what I see. I see a player that has legit first-round talent. He was in a situation in Jacksonville that did not go well. He had to deal with Urban Meyer. He had to deal with all these different head coaches and had to deal with a lot of different DCs, a lot of turnover in general, which really made it difficult for him to, I think, just be able to go out there and do his thing. So now what do? You put a lot of talent. You put a lot of talent next to a guy like Max Crosby. And when you talk to a lot of the people that say what they do about K'Lavon Chaisson, it's just he's not consistent enough. He hasn't had somebody that's been able to put his arm around him and say, hey, this is exactly what you need to do. The Raiders have that in Max. They also have, I think, one of the best defensive coaching staffs in the National Football League, led by Antonio Pierce, led by Patrick Graham, led by Rob Leonard, led by Mike Caldwell, the linebackers coach. I believe in the Raiders coaching staff, and I know for a fact K'Lavon Chaisson's got some talent. I'm hoping 1 + 1, it's going to equal a lot of sacks for the Las Vegas Raiders. Coming up here, though, we're going to talk about Tyree Wilson's injury a little bit. We'll talk about Malcolm Koonce, some of these players on the depth. And I know there's a lot of people down in the comments saying, well, what about Yannick Ngakoue? What about some of these other players? We'll bring up some of those names, and then there's still one other player out there that if I'm the Raiders, I'm telling you right now, I'd be interested in going out and trading for him. Now, if anybody out there is trying to optimize their finances, I've been trying to save money for my wedding this entire year, and shout out to Rocket Money for being able to help me do that. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Stop wasting money on things you don't use, cancel your unwanted subscriptions, and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. Most people think that they're spending $80 on their subscriptions when in reality, the number is closer to $200. When you're signed up for so many things like streaming services you used to watch on one show or free trials for delivery you don't use, it's easy to lose track of what you're paying for. Rocket Money can even negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. So nation, rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. Jeremy Chuggs is putting all of those links for you guys down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. And I'm going to look at all y'all right now because I know a lot of people are dealing with this currently, and I'm currently dealing with it. I know right now that DirecTV Stream has been effing around, and I can't watch SportsCenter. I can't watch ESPN. I couldn't watch a lot of football games. You know what? I'm going to send my bill to Rocket Money, and they did it for me like a year ago, and I said, hey, I'm paying I think I'm paying like $120 a month for cable. They're going to take that, and they ended up getting my phone, or the bill, I want to say, down to like 60 or 70 bucks because it went on for 2 weeks. If anybody's dealing with that problem right now, you send that screenshot to Rocket Money, and they're going to be able to help you out. That's why I love this freaking app here. So let's also talk about the other reasons why this move ended up happening. Tyree Wilson. I spoke to somebody close to Wilson, and basically he gave me a little bit of his knees obviously sore. It sounds like it's a mild knee sprain, which is what Ian Rappaport reported yesterday. It's just they don't know the severity of the sprain from what I know right now. We're kind of hoping, Raider fans should be hoping, that it's what's known as like a grade 1 sprain, which probably means he's only going to be out like 1 to 2 weeks. I was told that it could be a grade 2, which if that ends up happening, he's going to end up being on that short-term IR, kind of like what Malcolm Koonce is, but it's not going to be anything more than that. This is not a season-ending type of thing based on the information that I have received right now from Tyree Wilson's team. But all I'm saying is you needed to be able to go out there and add a little bit more depth because Malcolm Koonce, he's out until at least week 5. But when you read the report from ESPN's Paul Gutierrez hints that there is a chance that Malcolm Koonce can be out the entirety of the season. So I know that the Raiders went out and got K'Lavon Chaisson. But here's the thing. We need to go out and get somebody else. Like, we were relying on Malcolm. We were relying on Tyree Wilson. And I love Charles Snowden in the preseason. I think Charles Snowden is an awesome human being, works his freaking tail off, and has showed you that he deserved to at least get on that practice squad, ended up getting promoted. But if you're going to be in a division that's got Justin Herbert, if you're going to be in a division that's got Sean Payton, if you're going to be in a division with the back-to-back Super Bowl champs, Patrick Mahomes, and then you look at just all the other QBs that we're about to be going up against, you know what I mean? Like, we got Lamar Jackson, Bryce Young, I know hasn't looked good, but he's still mobile enough. Deshaun Watson, same thing. Even a little bit later on in the season, Derek Carr, Trevor Lawrence, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow. I mean, there are so many talented quarterbacks that we're going to be going up against. So I'm telling y'all right now, I don't think that the Raiders should be done. I think that the Raiders should go out and try to get another edge, and maybe it is somebody like a Yannick Ngakoue. And when the Raiders went out and they made this move for K'Lavon Chaisson, I think one of the top names that continuously got thrown out there was Ngakoue. But here's the thing. If Yannick Ngakoue's not healthy, K'Lavon Chaisson is a good dude to go out there and try to get. Also, if you believe in your coaching staff, K'Lavon Chaisson is a good guy to get at a fraction of a price of what it would have cost you in Ngakoue. I think you look at free agency. There's two other names to me that I would throw out there as guys that I would be interested in trading for. The first one is Haason Reddick. And this is like if you got a lot of money, and I'll be real, this actually is not the guy that I would trade for, but it would be at least somebody to pick up the phone, give him a call, and see what the ask is. He's had, 3-4 straight seasons with 8+ sacks, and the New York Jets, they traded for him this offseason, have yet to give him a brand new contract, and then what did they end up doing? He didn't play in week 1 against the Niners, and he's just sitting around. I'm a big fan of yard sales. Not so much now, but in the terms of if I'm going to buy something, I want somebody on a yard sale, and I bet you Haason Reddick would be pretty cheap right now in a trade, but if you do it, you're going to have to pay him. And my hope for the Raiders when them saving all this salary cap space was, I think the hope was Malcolm Koonce goes out there and has a great season, and then he ends up getting extended. If Malcolm's season does end up being done, he's going to hit the free agent market. Guaranteed he's going to hit the free agent market. So in my mind, I'm like, well, maybe we could have used some of that Malcolm Koonce money and invested it in Haason Reddick. That's the expensive way. The way that I personally would do it is I would go out and trade for Azeez Ojulari. I said that this morning. I filmed a video yesterday on it as well. Azeez Ojulari is a second-round pick, 50th overall. I want to say back in 2021 is when it ended up going down. And he had 8 sacks his first year with guess who? Patrick Graham. And I think just like the New York Giants, kind of just like the Jacksonville Jaguars, that's been a really shitty football team. I know they won a playoff game recently, but it has not been a good team. But for a player like Azeez, a little bit of an undersized edge rusher, a little bit undersized outside linebacker, in the final year of his deal, I talked to our Giants host here, Marshall Green. Y'all can tell him to go home. But, this is just one of those things where you could potentially look at it going out there, and they ended up, I think you could trade him for a 4th or a 5th round pick. I really do. I think you could go out there, end up getting Azeez for a 4th. I would rather you do it for a 5th round pick is what I would offer. And then that's somebody, if he goes out there and plays well like he did as a rookie in Patrick Graham's defense when he had 8 sacks, you need some of that extra depth. And for a team like the Giants, they're going to take all the draft picks that they can get because they're trying to move on. All right, so we did just actually get word that this is officially official of K'Lavon Chaisson is being signed to the practice squad. So he's going to the practice squad, but that actually wasn't the only move that the Raiders ended up making. They actually also just signed cornerback Kyblu Kelly, Kyblu Kelly, to the practice squad. So they added a corner. They added an edge. The Raiders also worked out another cornerback today from the University of Marshall. He was actually drafted in the 6th round of the 2024 NFL Draft by the Indianapolis Colts, but it looks like that they're going to go with Kyblu Kelly here. But I knew that the Raiders wanted to make an edge move. Why? Antonio Pierce said it. Tom Telesco said it. And I think for a lot of the people that watched this video that ended up dropping today, you've heard the name K'Lavon Chaisson. You heard the connections that they had. And I don't think that this is a surprising move. I like the move because I'm willing to bet on our defensive coaching staff. And if you're willing to bet on the coaching staff, you better click that like button right now because K'Lavon Chaisson, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people. All right, Nation, let's answer some questions here. We are at 1,300 people watching. If you haven't already subscribed to the Raiders Report, make sure you do so. Let's talk about anything Raiders related, hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat to get on the show like Preston803 did. And I usually don't like to get super crazy and wild on a Tuesday, but I'm down to get a little bit crazy and wild here on a Tuesday. Somebody asked how much for a beer bong. You guys know the deal. It's a bang. But you know what? Since it's Tuesday, every 50 we get, we're banging here on the show, and I'm going to throw a little bit back. Fire Luke Getsy and hire Eric Bieniemy, period. There's 2 problems with this. One, the biggest problem with Eric Bieniemy is, do I think Eric Bieniemy is a better offensive-minded coach than Luke Getsy? Yes, I do. But this is also something that I feel like just continuously gets brought up year after year after year. And I'm all for forgiving people. I'm all for giving people second chances. I really, really, truly am. But if you're going to be an organization like the Raiders, and if you're going to go through a situation like Fred Bilenikoff's daughter and make it a rule that you're never going to hire anybody that has any background in domestic violence, and I know Bieniemy's, it's 30-something years ago. It might even be It's about 30 years ago at this point. But if you're going to be an organization that stands 10 toes on we are against domestic violence, then you can't hire Eric Bieniemy. And so anybody that continues to say, go out and hire EB, go out and hire EB, I hear you. He's drawn up good plays. But not every single team is like the Raiders that has a much more higher moral high ground. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. The Chiefs and then the Commanders were the last two teams that guy worked for. And think about how good of an offensive mind that he is, and he can't get a job. There's been multiple reports out there from other players that said that they don't like working for the guy, they don't like being around him. You might be a great dude in terms of drawing up plays, but that doesn't make you a great human being. And I think for the Raiders, they want to keep all the negative energy out. But don't get me wrong, I do want to put up points as well. So use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. Get the questions here on the show. What's up, Steven Gutierrez? Defense is not the problem. Of course defense is not the problem. And I've been kind of giggling a little bit because I've seen PFF with all these like, oh, Joe Alt dominated Max Crosby. Joe Alt dominated this and that. I think Joe Alt is a really good tackle, and I think he's going to be one of the best tackles in the National Football League. It's why I had him graded as my highest tackle. But then I'm also like, you know, you go look at that game against the Chargers, and the Chargers couldn't move the football in the first half. Realistically, the Chargers didn't move the football all that well until the very end of the game when the Raiders got winded because of all the turnovers and just all the 3-and-outs. I want to say it's the second least amount of passing yards Justin Herbert has ever had in his entire career. And anybody that watched that game, the Chargers had something very, very simple. They were trying to get the ball out quick. That's what they did. That's why we didn't have as many pressures. That's why we didn't have as many sacks. But if anybody out there is blaming the defense for that Raiders loss, man, you don't know ball. And I hate saying that type of shit because I feel like when I say it, it's usually from a place of hate and anger, and I don't want to do that this season. I think as Raider fans this year alone, we got to do a better job of uniting. The amount of videos that I've had people send me of Raider fans fighting each other at SoFi Stadium, the amount of times that people here at Chat Sports laugh at how often people are just getting into arguments, the amount of people at the North Carolina Raider game that, I'm not kidding you, I went up to 3 or 4 different Raiders fans in North Carolina when we were down there, and they literally told me that they were happy that the Raiders lost and that the Saints won because of Derek Carr. If that's your mentality, you're not a Raider fan to me. There's a channel that you can go watch and you can go put your thumb up there. I don't want your thumbs up here, though. I don't want it. Let's go to John Akala. I think if Getsy was to get fired, Joe Philbin would take over. What do you guys think about that? I don't even know if I want Joe Philbin to be the OC. I mean, I've been somebody that I've been saying for a long, long time. I want somebody new. I want somebody that is just some that we haven't seen before. I think when you see a lot of these new OCs, when you see a lot of these young offensive coordinators, they're learning from a different cloth and they're executing these offenses at a much higher rate. The other reason why I wanted a younger coach, a younger offensive coordinator is technology. And I've said this before on this show where think about how much research you can do. Think about how much stuff that you can look up, how much tape you can watch, all the things that you're able to do because your entire life you grew up around it. And now ask your parent who's maybe 50 years old. Maybe your dad played football his entire life. Maybe he is a smart-minded man. But the amount of research that I'm able to do at my age compared to the amount of research that somebody's able to do at an older age, I think it's a little bit of a disadvantage. And when you're Luke Getsy, somebody who hasn't been good for multiple years, who hasn't been good with multiple different quarterbacks, it's not like what I'm saying here is surprising. A lot of people did not believe in Luke Getsy, but we also didn't believe in Rich Scangarello, the Raiders quarterback coach. James Craig, this offensive line, we got to figure it out. But right now, Luke Getsy, to me, is the biggest problem for the Raiders. Let's go to Raider Nation. You can't get optimistic about this team when you do, so-called fans just berate you. And that's just the way that it is. I think sometimes when people are so used to being negative, they only know how to be negative. I also think that there's so many people on social media. I mean, they talk their shit on social media that would never say anything to your face. You know what I mean? Like, when Jeremy and I went out to that football game on August 14th, the amount of people that said that we were going to get our ass kicked, nobody's going to do anything in person. It'd be stupid to do anything in person. But at the same time, though, I think the way social media works is, and when you say negative shit, it gets attention. when you don't say negative stuff, people don't really interact with it as much. And that's just a really sad point that we've come to here with the fan base. So I'm hoping that we can figure this out, because I know this, when the Raiders are winning and the good vibes are rolling, I love going to work. I love being able to hang out with all y'all, and I love answering questions. It's just a lot happier of an experience. And I know that we're 0-1, and I know that we lost to the Chargers in a frustrating game. But again, you played a bad football game. 3 turnovers and a missed field goal. The Raiders will not win a game all season if you turn the ball over 3 times, especially in the situations that they did, and miss the field goal. If you don't turn the ball over 3 times and you make that field goal, I think the Raiders win the football game. I do. And then we're not sitting here freaking the hell out. It was a bad game, and Getsy was definitely bad. But we've also seen it before. You can win games that you're not supposed to win. You can also lose games that you're not supposed to lose. Let's go to Hollywood Silva. What's up, man? I know we're talking K'Lavon, but is it possible to trade for Trey Lance? And is it possible to get some O-line help? One, I can't imagine anybody wanting to trade for Trey Lance. And, this is something that we talked about after the Raiders-Cowboys preseason game. Trey Lance isn't better than Aiden O'Connell. Trey Lance isn't better than Gardner Minshew. And if you're going to go out and try to actually trade for a quarterback, you should go out and trade for somebody that legitimately gives you a chance to start. The one name to me that I literally made a video on this, and I had 9 other options that I'd rather look at than Trey Lance. The first option, if you want to go out and trade for a quarterback, is see what it costs to go get Kirk Cousins. In terms of, they drafted Michael Penix Jr., would they be willing to trade you Kirk Cousins after dropping a game? Because if the Raiders trade for Cousins, all you would owe him is $12.5 million for this season, $40 million next season, and then it's $57 against the cap. However, it's 0 guaranteed. So if you're the Raiders, you go, all right, I trade for Kirk Cousins right now. You're probably going to have to give up at least a second-round pick. You're going to pay him $12.5 this season. You're going to pay him $40 million next season. That's the option. Or I would look at a Hendon Hooker. I would look at a Sam Howell. Those are guys that I personally would rather have over our current quarterback situation. But again, I don't think our quarterback situation, it's a problem, but the Luke Getsy play calling simply has to be better. And is it possible to get some help on the O-line? Again, I actually don't even know if we need help on the O-line. We just need coaches that put the right players in right situations. And one of the segments that we're going to talk about today is how much I want them to bench Cody Whitehair and other players that I want to step up at left guard. Patrick B., we can't fire Getsy from one game. All we can do is hope that he corrects his mistakes for week 2 and gets better. And I agree. One of the things that Getsy has to do, and maybe it's Antonio Pierce, maybe it's James Craig, you got to bench Cody Whitehair. Cody Whitehair cannot start in the NFL at this point of his career. He hasn't been reliable since 2022. Mitch, it's 2024. He's been bad, and that's obvious. Big T, what up, man? Getsy and the Raiders beat us, not the Chargers. And I think that this is a fair thing to say where, the Chargers to me are a team that I think is okay. I don't think that they're a playoff caliber team. I think that they're probably somewhere around 7, 8, 9 wins this upcoming season. But when you play against Jim Harbaugh, what makes Jim Harbaugh teams so difficult to beat is they typically don't make mistakes. And if you're going to turn the ball over against a Harbaugh team, he's going to make you pay for it. And when you have 3 turnovers and a missed field goal, that's how you lost this game. That's how you lost it. And then because your defense was on the field so damn much, they got tired and they started getting beat up by J.K. Dobbins at the end. I mean, this is a game where you watch that game and the Raiders, I thought were in control of that football game until they weren't. And in a snap of a finger, they weren't. But if I'm Las Vegas as a fan, and I made this show yesterday, Antonio Pierce had an opportunity yesterday to say that 4th down and 1 at the 43-yard line, that, you know what, that's on me. It was on me. I should have ended up going for it. Instead, he doubled down and said that was the right move. That actually scared me probably the most out of anything that AP said on Monday, and I think it's probably the one thing that has scared me the most out of anything AP has said since becoming the head coach of the Raiders, somebody that I'm willing to run through a brick wall for. But I think man to man, you got to also know when you make a mistake, you got to be able to stand up there and tell everybody that literally looks you in the eyes all the time and go, you know what, that's on me. I made a mistake. Chugs and I do it a lot. I think a lot of people do this show, probably watch it and say the exact same thing of, oh, that guy made a mistake. You need to be able to go out there and say it. And I was a little bit disappointed that AP did not do that yesterday. Mario, what's up, man? Chaisson, do you believe change of scenery can unlock this player's potential? And if so, what stats do you see? I do think that the upside for K'Lavon Chaisson is there. Like, he is an athletic player, but then also you got to consider the fact of this coaching staff and how much we believe in this coaching staff, because this coaching staff is a solid unit. So when you consider the fact that change of scenery, scheme fit, because I do think K'Lavon's a better fit with the Raiders than where he previously was in Jacksonville. And if you're going to bet on Max Crosby, our coaching staff, to be able to unlock it, you're not going to get like that first-round draft pedigree. And I don't like to say this because I feel like people just think of it too much as like me looking at the helmet. But when the Raiders drafted Arden Key, somebody that, a lot of people thought could go in round 1, but ended up not going in round 1, had some off-the-field concerns. People didn't know how much he loved football, ends up leaving, goes to another spot, Jacksonville, funny enough, and, ends up playing pretty damn well. I think for K'Lavon, I think you can see the exact same thing there where he knows, like, oh, shit, because he was signed by the Carolina Panthers this offseason, and then he ended up getting released. But that's a player that has legit round 1 talent. He just hasn't been able to put it together up here. And maybe the Raiders are the team to help him do that. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. But when you put somebody on the practice squad, to me, you really don't have anything to lose. Let's go to another super chat rolling in here from Gregory Vasquez. What's up, man? It's one game I still believe, but still disgusted. I could not agree with you more. Like, that was one of those games, and, I think every parent, every kid, every person alive, that football game made me think of, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. And I say that, and I was like, all right, I was definitely mad. But, like, you just expect more. You expect more out of a team that you invest a lot in. You expect more out of a coach that, you're hoping that he ends up putting your team in the right situation. You expect more out of Luke Getsy. And a lot of the frustrations, I think, from that game are just piggybacked off of, we kind of knew it was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, we knew that our defense was going to be great. That defense was great. We knew that we can't afford to turn the ball over or else we're going to lose games. We turned the ball over and we lost the game. You can't afford to go for a field goal and miss it. You missed a field goal, it hurts you, right? Like, the quarterback play was going to be something that we were a little bit worried about. Stretching the ball down the field, all these things. But I think the other really concerning part is that Luke Getsy offense looked like a Josh McDaniels offense. And I don't know if it's going to be able to fix itself overnight, because to me, Getsy has kind of run the same offense that he does year in and year out. But, like, if I'm Antonio Pierce, I sit down Luke Getsy and I go, you're either going to make this more creative or you can go find yourself a new job, because I do not want to watch that game that Getsy called week after week after week. I'm going to have white hair like Cody Whitehair. Let's go to Raider Pace. What up, man? Why did you steal Justin Sink's hair? NSYNC's hair. To be honest, I hope that I get as many ladies as that guy probably did. I'll be real. I don't know who Justin from NSYNC is. I know the band NSYNC, but my fiance Alex has been wanting me to grow out my hair for a long time. And no disrespect to you, Raider Pace, or anybody out there that doesn't like my hair. If my fiance likes it, I'm going to keep rocking it. The mustache she digs, and I think I'm doing pretty well for myself. I think I outkicked my coverage. Let's go to Taino. What's up, man? Don't matter who's at QB. We have to get the O-line corrected and healthy. Minshew was efficient, 25 of 33, 257. The turnovers were bad, but you're right, he was efficient. But running for his life a lot. Fumble didn't help. He was running for his life. And I think the other problem of the offensive line issues is they couldn't run the football. The Raiders want to be a team that does 12 personnel. That requires you to be physical. The Raiders weren't able to be physical because Andre James sucked, and Cody Whitehair was one of the worst offensive guards week 1 in the NFL. You can't be a team that wants to do 12 personnel, pound the football with Zamir White. That's going to create play action a little bit for you. They didn't have that. The Raiders became one-dimensional with Gardner Minshew. I love Minshew. I don't care if it's Minshew. I don't care if it's Aiden O'Connell. I don't care if it's Derek Carr, any other quarterback you want to throw out at me. When your team can't run the football and teams are stacking the box because they know your offensive coordinator ain't going to call anything deep, I don't care who your quarterback is unless you got a Patrick Mahomes, a Joe Burrow, a Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson, this different type of QB, you're not going to win football games. So what happened was we went one-dimensional, and we were dinking and dunking because we couldn't run the football because our O-line was getting just butchered, and then that's what happened. It was a tough football game to watch, no doubt about it, man. Let's go to Lee. What's up, man? Is Tom Coughlin and Marv Lewis a benefit to AP? Absolutely. I don't see how you could possibly wonder if it's not. a benefit to Antonio Pierce. And I think one of my reasons why I liked AP and why I didn't like Josh McDaniels, I do like AP. McDaniels has a God complex where he thinks everything I say and do is the best thing possible, that, all right, this is what we should do and nobody can tell me otherwise. To me, I would run my team kind of like a democracy. I would run my team based off of the idea of I'm not smarter than everybody in the room. So what does Antonio Pierce do? He brings in somebody like a Marvin Lewis, who was a successful NFL coach for many, many years, had some opportunities as well. Their connections from Arizona State. You bring in a guy like Tom Coughlin, a guy who obviously worked with Antonio Pierce. They won a Super Bowl together. And when you bring in people that just have experience of, it's not so much as calling X's and O's as much as it is managing a group of men, managing a group of millionaires, managing a group of people that, let's face it, they're the biggest personalities probably in a normal room, right? Like, if you're an NFL player and you're in a normal room, everybody are all eyes on you. And it's maybe hard to be able to coach up that person. But you've heard Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, a lot of these guys, and they're like, that guy's a Super Bowl champion. He's a UDFA that became a Super Bowl champion. That guy's a hard-working dude, and you might not play the same position, but you relate to that on that mindset level of you go out there and do your job, you go out there and you be consistent, and you're going to be successful at whatever you do. And that's what Antonio Pierce preaches. That's what Tom Coughlin has always preached. That's what Marvin Lewis preached. Yeah, Marvin Lewis didn't win as much as Coughlin, but I still think both guys are helping him out. Let's go to my man Ron Raspberry. You're good. Who can we get to help the O-line that should have been top priority, don't you think? The Raiders want JPJ to be that answer. And, quite frankly, I don't know what exactly is happening here with Jackson Powers Johnson. And I got to crack something open. My throat's going to explode. Giggity. Oh, man. Hang on. All right. I think the Raiders wanted Jackson Powers Johnson to be able to step up, but unfortunately, we don't know what's happening there. I mean, it's a weird situation to me, and this has been a player that I've really supported for a long time, but I do find it weird that it's an illness. And I only say that because, JPJ the week before that, he's out and about. And I don't have a problem being out. I don't have a problem if a player wants to go out and have a nice time with significant other, family, your friends are in town, whatever it is. If you're going to go out the weekend before, go out the weekend before. But then also, think about, I show up for work sick all the time. I'm sure you guys show up to sick all the time. And I know it's a little bit different because you're in the NFL, but if you're going to be a second-round pick who's missed majority of camp and then you can't practice a week that Antonio Pierce said multiple times, it's very important for him to be out there with an illness, you better be really, really sick. Or maybe they're just hiding something. I don't know what it is. But I would rather have JPJ start at left guard. I would rather have Thayer Munford start at left guard. I would rather have Andres Pete start at left guard. I don't think that the Las Vegas Raiders need to go out and sign an offensive guard. I don't think they need to go out and trade for one. You have better options on your team. I would rather you kick Thayer Munford over to left guard, start DJ Glaze. I'd rather you start Andres Pete at left guard. Hell, if you got to kick Dylan Parham over to left guard and then put Thayer Munford at right guard, start DJ Glaze. There's so many other better combinations for our offensive line instead of starting Cody Whitehair. That's what's frustrating to me is this coaching staff is doing something that I just think is idiotic. And I don't know if it's just because Getsy has a relationship with Whitehair, if they truly don't trust some of these other players. I don't know what it is, but what's frustrating is when you see something that is just dumb, and starting Cody Whitehair is just dumb. I don't know if it's a pride thing. I don't know if it's our coaching staff being afraid to admit that they were wrong. But if you trot out Cody Whitehair again, week 2 against the Baltimore Ravens, I'm going to say some words that I'm probably going to end up regretting, but sometimes that's what you got to do in order to get your message across. Why wouldn't we go for Ngakoue? Max and him were great. Max and him are great friends. Yannick Ngakoue was great. There's 2 reasons here. One is the money aspect side of it. Yannick Ngakoue is probably looking for a heavy contract. Now, maybe he doesn't want to get a heavy incentive-based deal. That's kind of what I would offer him. But to me, I would guess, one, it's the money aspect of Ngakoue has always been a player that has asked for a lot more money than what people thought maybe he was worth. Second reason is he's terrible against the run. He's only a pass rusher, which is really all we truly need right now, I would say. The third reason is I don't know if he's healthy. Yannick Ngakoue, I want to say to my knowledge, has worked out definitely for 2 teams this offseason. Potentially 3. I want to say it's the Miami Dolphins, the Carolina Panthers, and there might be another team in there that he worked out for. But our source here at Chat Sports, somebody who works very closely with Chicago, said that he's just not healthy, And when the Raiders signed Michael Gallup, a lot of people were really excited. And then Jeremy and I stood up here on the show and we're like, we were told that he's basically playing on one foot, and I don't know if he makes the team. What we hear right now about Yannick Ngakoue is I don't know if he's 100% healthy. So when you think about the player that has the resume that Ngakoue does, there is something else going on that you don't know, right? Like I just saw on Twitter, somebody's like, somebody tell me why Hunter Renfrow isn't signed by a team yet. Hunter Renfrow, since getting all those concussions and the injuries that he's had the past 2 seasons, totally different player. So I know the name value, and I know what people see when they hear Yannick Ngakoue and the connections with the Raiders. I mean, I even put him on my show of the Raiders should at least pick up the phone, give him a call. I would have brought him in for a workout, at least see if he's healthy with our trainers. The fact that they didn't do that, to me, is more of there's something that we don't know that a lot of other teams in the NFL that get those medical reports do know. Uncle Drew, appreciate you, man. Again, anytime you want to get a question, comment here on the show. Make sure that you use #Raiders or you can super chat. What'd you say, Chugs? Oh, this is a new one. We need to sign Joe Montana from the Mud Dogs. Is that his actual name? Is that the Mississippi Mud Dogs? I mean, that's Waterboy, right? I was saying, is that name a name that I should know? I've seen that movie a bunch. What's a better movie? Let me know down below. Waterboy or The Longest Yard? Type W for Waterboy. Type L for The Longest Yard. I want to know what you guys think is the better movie. Raider Pace, do you think this O-line will get fixed, though? We know Whitehair sucks, but why did James forget how to block? I always tell people this. To me, I feel like I am the best at being able to evaluate quarterback talent because it's what I've done my entire life based off fantasy football. I've watched a lot of quarterback talent, a lot of tape on it. One of the things that I always tell people is, I'm not always 100% sure about offensive line, so I go out and I watch some other people. I think the best guy on YouTube for offensive line breakdown, it's Sanjit. And I think a lot of people knew I was probably going to say that. And I've watched a lot of the stuff on Sanjit, and, I got to give him his flowers because he's even said that, Andre James has gotten better and better and better and did a really good job, going into the season and earned a contract. He did. I was also told by, people close to James that he wasn't going to be coming back for the Raiders because they didn't know if he was going to be the proper fit. And that's what you're seeing is the problem. And sometimes, fans that don't follow the team a lot don't understand just simple different blocking schemes. But the blocking scheme that James Craig ran with the San Francisco 49ers, you can kind of see that the Miami Dolphins do the exact same thing. It's more of a wide zone blocking scheme that's going to require you to be a little bit more powerful, I guess is an easy way to say it for Andre. And he was good in that Carmen Brasillo scheme. It's a scheme that he's been in for 3 years. Now you get a totally different offensive line scheme with James Craig, and you saw he did not look good in it. He was rusty, and I got to give Sanjit credit because Sanjit was literally like one of the first guys that I watched that was like, Andre James is good, but he could struggle in this James Craig offensive line system. So to me, it's not he's forgetting how to block. Like, imagine you get a new offensive coordinator, and your quarterback's been in a system for 3 years, and now all of a sudden you go from being a pass-happy air raid offense to now you're going to go with an option. You're going to start running the West Coast. Like, totally different systems. And I think that right now is what you're seeing is one of the biggest problems with Andre James. Now, what we got coming up here on today's show, Norman Paul said 2:30 beer. You know what's crazy? It's 1:30 here for me. I'm not kidding you. Over the past 24 hours, I've just been beating myself up so much over that Chargers game. And I really wanted to do a better job this year of not being such a negative Nancy because we don't have the clown McDaniels anymore. And I do still believe in this team. And I know it's one game. And I know what Overreaction Monday really truly is, especially after week 1. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that end up happening. But overall, I'm going to stay calm. I'm going to hope that we can get this thing figured out and we can keep on marching on, and hopefully that commitment to excellence comes back here really soon. What do you got for me, Chugs? Oh, that's my guy right there. I like it. I like it a lot. What do you got? I think Alexander Madison might be the better fit right now because of the offensive line problems that the Raiders have. This week against the Ravens, it's an interesting matchup, though there's got to be better guys out there. Is it a PPR league? Half-point PPR league? I would say if... Yeah, well, again, they couldn't run the ball up the middle, and I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball up the middle against Baltimore.
First Raiders running back receiving touchdown in quite a while.
Probably. Madison's a good back. I think... No, you're not dropping Zamir. That's craziness. You can. I don't know what your team looks like. I think Alexander Madison... I would... You got to hope he scores a touchdown. No, you don't want that. You don't want Dylan Laube. Now, I will be curious to see if he ends up getting a little bit more work this upcoming week.
He was a healthy scratch.
He was a healthy scratch. Also, Chugs, coming up here, we got this. I just want to be able to tweet out this video here real quick. I don't know if they ended up tweeting it out. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. And no distro has been done. All right, so Raiders signed K'Lavon Chaisson.
Brutal. You know what?
Not great.
I'll answer a couple more questions as
please, and thank you. Yeah, also, like, this is not just the K'Lavon Chaisson show. We usually go live Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We also have 2 other segments on tap, ready to rock and roll, that we're going to go through today here on the show.
El Suavemente. Hey, Mitch, how much 12 personnel did we run versus the Chargers, and what did you think of it? I think there was a ton of 12 personnel being used. We saw a good amount of Brock Bowers, some Michael Mayer as well. Both of them, I think they're your 3rd and 4th options on the team. After Devontae, Jacoby, it goes those 2 guys, Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers. Whoever you want to put 3 and 4, I think they're pretty much interchangeable at this point right now. But we saw a lot of it. The problem is with Luke Getsy's offense. I feel like you really got to get the running game going, and we never really saw that. Like, once we actually started to see the running game get going just a little bit, Zamir fumbled. So then that kind of took away from it, and then the Raiders were kind of scared to run the ball again. And then, you know, the one really big knockback on Getsy's offense is it's not an offense that plays very well when you're behind. They're not hurry up. They're not, like, getting up on the line. It's not spreading you out. But for this offense to be good, you got to be able to run the ball. And we need Zamir to step up this next week. Him, Alexander Madison, this running back room. You got to be able to run the ball so then you can work the play-action boot, because that's big on this. You know, with this kind of scheme, you need to be able to run the ball, play-action boot, and then that's when you have Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers kind of screaming across the field, you know, running a post route, running a drag route, running, you know, something across the field to get with that motion to where the defense doesn't know, are you going to run the stretch run to the left, or is Minshew booting out and dumping it down to Brock Bowers and letting him make a move and do something with it?
So, again, selfishly, and this is just me being honest, when Chugs and I do an event like we do in North Carolina, we lose probably like 6 hours on that Monday to be able to do some of this extra research that we usually have done. I don't know exactly how much 12 personnel that the Raiders did run off the top of my head. I'd have to look that one up. But what I do know is Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, both. Bowers had 41 snaps played. Mayer was at 34. Harrison Bryant played only 4 snaps. So to me, they probably ran a decent amount of 12 personnel. I mean, off the top of my head, from what I remember, I do remember seeing it quite often. Bowers was one of the top targets out there. But, like, basically everything Jeremy said, Luke Getsy's offense is predicated on everything kind of working, right? And it's a wheel. As soon as one part of that wheel breaks, the offense starts to clunk around, and then it can get really, really clunky really, really quick. I think Luke Getsy got his job because he had Aaron Rodgers, because he had Devontae Adams, and that Packers offense, this might surprise you, was a lot different than a lot of normal offenses in the NFL. Goes to Chicago, tries to do his own thing, and it failed. And after that first game there, it also looked bad. Like, some guys are just not good at calling plays. And I think Luke Getsy might be one of those guys. Let's go to Curtis. What's up, man? DM'd you on Instagram yesterday about Sanjit tweet and was wondering your thoughts / opinion. This is another thing where I'll be honest, I have not done a good job going through and looking at all of my DMs. I'm going to go to the first one that I see. I think this is from you, Curtis. I think I got it. And it says, our O-line is really bad in pass pro. Guys are being thrown around, can't properly pick up a defensive line game, cannot anchor down versus power, cannot stop the D-line from collapsing in the pocket. Gardner Minshew is playing scared because of this. Luke Getsy is a very poor offensive coordinator, and an OC's job is to design an offense that keeps defenses off balance and create play concepts that scheme guys open. I did not see that yesterday. We ran the most basic high school level plays, and the Chargers shut down everything. Very, very few plays did guys get open. Mix the two things above, and you get guys not being open before the pressure. In my opinion, if the O-line holds up better, there's a chance the plays do develop. Yeah, I mean, I think we haven't said exactly that, but I think that's exactly what we have been saying. And one of my frustrations are, which I literally said off the top, because I think literally the very first super chat we got, we hit live, and Javier Diaz said, fire Getsy ASAP. And my frustration was when you see guys call plays like a Kyle Shanahan, like a Ben Johnson, like a Bobby Slovic, like an Andy Reid, like a Sean McVay, like a Mike McDaniel, you know, like you see guys that year in and year out do stuff, and when you watch those offenses, they're fun. There's a lot of moving parts. It's intricate, and it's a good time. And, yeah, I get it. You probably got to have to have a good quarterback. But you know what? Kyle Shanahan has always been able to get it done no matter who he has at running back, no matter who he has at quarterback. He's always been able to do it. You know why? He's a damn good coach. He's an offensive-minded guy. So I agree with what the Sanjeet tweet says, but it's nothing new. We knew that Luke Getsy was going to struggle, especially when then you got Rich Scangarillo as your quarterback coach. We need Coach Klein's green notebook before Devontae jumps ship. Get Tay the ball.
Coach Klein.
I definitely want to get Tay more involved, and the Raiders were doing a lot when they did get him involved. You know what I mean? I want to say, 6 targets, 5 grabs, and when Tay started catching it, the Raiders were starting to move the ball effectively. I want to see them take some shots down the field. Now, they were unable to do it because the offensive line was kind of shitty, but then knowing that, you got to be able to draw up certain plays that get guys open, a little bit more pre-snap reads. We heard all this about Trey Tucker. It was barely even freaking used up against the Chargers. And if you know that your offensive line can't block, then you might see a little bit more of Alexander Mattison, which is, one of the players that I discussed earlier in the week saying, don't be surprised if Mattison has a much bigger role in that game compared to somebody like Zamir White. And I didn't want Zamir White to fumble, but I did anticipate that it was going to be a better game from Alexander Mattison than what we originally expected. The Long Stranger. I'm in that awkward phase, man. I'm in that awkward phase right now between I got to grow it out longer, and it's way too short for what I want. But thank you for looking out for my appearance. I greatly appreciate it. All right, y'all. Coming up here on today's show, we're going to get into some news and rumors around Tyree Wilson. I spoke with his team, and I'll kind of give you some updates on him. Lamar Jackson, some injury news there. If you follow a lot of beat reporters in Baltimore, there's some nervous people about Lamar and how healthy he is right now. Then the Raiders had a couple of workouts today. We'll kind of break all that down for you as well. But the 2 other shows that we got, news and rumors is everything I just mentioned. And then I got an entire segment around, please, for the love of God, bench Cody Whitehair. And when I get into that segment, I am going to ask a big favor from all of y'all, but I'm only going to ask that big favor because it worked before. And if it worked before, there's a chance that it could work again. And my voice is loud, Chugs' voice is loud, but us together, we can be deafening as a nation. So coming up, let's get into the latest news, and let's get into some rumors around the Raiders. Coming up today on the Raiders Report, I'm going to give you an update on Tyree Wilson's injury and tell you how long I think that the Raiders defensive end is going to be out for. Lamar Jackson injury news. There's some people that cover the Baltimore Ravens that are a little bit nervous that he might not be 100% healthy to go when the Raiders play them on Sunday. And then the Silver and Black worked out multiple players. I'm filming this show live. We went out and we signed 2 of them, but we also worked out some other dudes that I at least just want to keep you guys in the loop about. Now, here at Chat Sports, we're a bunch of dudes being dudes covering our favorite teams, and our Ravens host was talking a little smack this morning. I heard it. I took a screenshot of this, and he was bragging about how their channel's only got 19,000 subs. We have 173,000, and that they're kicking our butt right now in a sub battle. Here's an easy way to stop that. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, let's show them the power of Raider Nation because they're not ready for it yet. Let's get into this update, though, real quick here about Tyree Wilson. He ended up leaving Sunday's game against the Chargers with a knee injury, and he suffered a knee sprain, according to Ian Rappaport. More testing for Tyree's knee is going to happen, and I'm just telling y'all right now, he is expected to miss some time. So one of my really good buddies, he's a doctor, and anytime any injuries happen, I always reach out to some of my good friends. I grew up in central Pennsylvania. The biggest hospital in Pennsylvania is basically called Geisinger Medical Center, and I got some people that work there, and when injuries like this stuff happens, I pick up the phone, I give them a call, and I go, hey, man, this is the information that I know. What exactly does this mean going forward? So for any time you hear knee, the first thing that you got to think of is, especially in the way that Tyree injured it, his knee is still intact. Like, he didn't tear an ACL, he didn't tear an MCL. Now they're going to have to go in there, and they're going to have to look at a little bit more details, no doubt about it. But there's 3 levels usually to a knee sprain. The first is grade 1 sprain, which I think this is probably the area that we're dealing with, which is a minor sprain where the ligament stretches but doesn't tear. This usually heals in about 1 to 2 weeks. Based on the information that I've received, he's somewhere between a grade 1 and a grade 2 sprain, which is a moderate sprain where the ligament is partially torn, which can take a month or longer to heal. I'll be real, it would not surprise me if the Raiders wanted to put Tyree Wilson on this short-term IR simply because they have been so patient with him with past injuries and they don't want to rush him into a situation. What you don't want to happen, okay, and I don't think that this is what it is based off of the information that we have right now, is a grade 3 sprain, which is a severe sprain that may require surgery, which can take longer to heal and may require crutches and physical therapy. So, like, for somebody who has injured their knee, I have torn my ACL, I have torn my MCL, I have torn my MCL, I have torn my meniscus, and I almost popped my patellar tendon, and that was all in high school. When I tore my MCL, it was able to heal on itself. I didn't need surgery, but I was out 3 to 4 months. I've also injured my knee where a minor knee sprain that I was able to go back and running in about 2 to 3 weeks. Now, I get it. I'm not an NFL player. I'm not playing at that level. But these guys' bodies also heal usually a little bit quicker because they are freak athletes. So based on the information that I received this morning, he should be out only a few weeks. Now, we'll see where that ends up happening. If you want to go the safer route, maybe you put him on IR. I would be shocked if he ended up on that I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up on the short-term IR. I would be shocked if he ended up on the season-ending IR list. But we've known Telesco wants to go out and add more depth, and I think one of the reasons why the Raiders were looking at some of that extra depth is not only do you have the injury to Tyree Wilson, not only do you have Malcolm Koonce, who could miss the entire season. That's still not an impossible thing. I know Malcolm and his team are considering that option just because he's going to be a free agent in the offseason, and it's not what he wants to do, but you also got to consider, is it best for his longevity, the best for his career going forward? Now, I am live right now, and the Raiders did sign K'Lavon Chaisson, which tells me that the Raiders were serious about adding a little bit of that extra defensive end line depth, but I've also said this, like for me personally, I want the Raiders to go out and add somebody else. We were counting on Malcolm Koonce. We were counting on Tyree Wilson. We were counting on both of those players to be common guys out there on our defense, you know what I mean, time and time again. So to me, I want y'all to give me a name, a defensive end that the Raiders should go out and that they should potentially target, because I made a video early this morning. Technically, I'll be honest with y'all, I made it yesterday when Chugs and I got off our flight. But I talked about potentially trading for a Hassan Reddick, potentially trading for an Azeez Ojulari, potentially going out and signing Yannick Ngakoue. So what I want to know down below is a name that you guys think that the Raiders should go out and get. And this is just another reason why you hit that subscribe button. We had K'Lavon Chaisson in this video, and it was one of the names that I didn't have him in my top 3, but go back and watch the video and I go, this is somebody that I wouldn't be surprised if they targeted. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of like the Keelan Doss move, simply because of his connections, simply because K'Lavon, he does have a lot of upside. But if you want to see some other names, because if I'm the Raiders, I still want them to go out and add another defensive player, because quite frankly, I think they need some extra help there at the edge rush position. Coming up next here on the show, we're going to talk about Lamar Jackson and the injuries that have been going on with the Baltimore Ravens quarterback, because there's some beat reporters out there that are a little bit concerned based on the amount of hits, based on the way that he was moving after that Chiefs game on Thursday Night Football. And I think once you hear some of the things that we're going to say, you're going to be like, Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be 100% healthy. Before I get into that, though, PrizePicks. I love playing PrizePicks all the time, and it's daily fantasy sports made easy. I think for people that watch this show a lot, you know that I'm a fantasy football guy at heart. I do it all the time, and PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. PrizePicks is just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Download the PrizePicks app today at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That is code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. So one of the lineups that I told Jeremy, like, we were not going to be, I'm always honest with you guys. We were scrambling a little bit once the breaking news came in, and he's like, yes or no, more or less, more or less, more or less. So guess what? It looks like we got a lot of more here. For Lamar Jackson, I'm going to go more on the rushing yards if he's 100% healthy. Devontae Adams, they better target him almost too much on Sunday. Gardner Minshew, give me the more on passing yards. He did throw for 257 in a game that was pretty damn ugly. And it looks like, yet again, they're going to have Caleb Williams at half of a passing yard. I want to say this is, 20 to win $100 on PrizePicks? Yep, Chuck just said that. 20 to win $100 here on PrizePicks. So if you like those picks, if you want to go take your own, I always say I never feel like I actually lose. I always feel like it's a win-win simply because if I can sit down and watch Monday Night Football with my fiance Alex, and she wants to watch Monday Night Football just because we have the opportunity to make some money, and she likes fantasy football, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. So let's get in here to the latest around the Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, who missed Monday's practice. Now, he was at the facility, but that was for team picture day. I did find it a little bit weird that the Ravens are doing picture day after week 1. And Harbaugh said that more information would end up coming out on Wednesday. The reason why, that this is just something that really piqued my interest. And when you follow a lot of the people around the Baltimore Ravens, their concern comes from, this is from a Thursday night game, okay? Thursday night game, who Lamar's battled some injuries in the past, and he did, man. He took some pretty heavy shots there from the Kansas City Chiefs, and when you look at some of the reports that were, not that he looked injured, but he was a little hobbled after the game, and I think for anybody that's ever played a sport, sometimes that ends up happening. If he's not out there on that practice field Wednesday, you're going to start looking at it a little bit more. Thursday, Friday, maybe a little bit more concerns. Now, typically, Lamar does take some days off. He's a 2-time MVP, and they're not going to try to rush him back, but I think he would have been out there if he would have been 100% healthy. And the fact that maybe he's not 100% healthy is just something that the Raiders should keep in mind. In terms of games missed over the past 5 seasons, Lamar missed 1 game last season, but still was playing through some other injuries that ended up happening. Usually Lamar's injuries happen at the end of the season because he is a mobile quarterback, and that takes a lot of wear and tear on somebody. And even though he has, bulked up a little bit this season, or actually I think this year he lost some weight, he has looked faster. He had a hell of a game, but he is somebody that battles some injuries. If he's unable to go, the quarterback that you're going to see end up going for them is Tyler Huntley, which the reason why that I think is noteworthy is because Huntley spent most of this offseason with the Cleveland Browns. He ended up getting released, and then the Baltimore Ravens ended up signing him. And Huntley, even though he's new to the team this season, he's been the backup to Lamar Jackson for multiple seasons. So I don't know if he's going to have all that trouble picking up the new offense, but this is a new offense in a sense for the Baltimore Ravens. Coming up next here, let's get into some players that the Raiders worked out today on September 10th at the time that I am recording this video. The Raiders already went out and they signed one of the guys. Technically, actually, they signed 2 of the guys that they worked out today. The first name, which is a name that I've been talking about and why we're even live on today's show, is K'Lavon Chaisson. He ended up signing into the practice squad. Somebody who's got some connections with Mike Caldwell, somebody who's been a first-round bust, and he was not very good, but this is somebody that I do think needed a change of scenery. He ended up getting it. Another player that the Raiders ended up signing today after a workout on their practice squad is Kai Blue Kelly. I want to say that the Raiders, I feel like they brought him in before. This name is ringing a bell to me. Did have 5 tackles last season. The Raiders also worked out another cornerback as well, who I did kind of talk about a little bit yesterday. I also made a short about him. His name is Micah Abraham, and maybe they potentially decide to bring him in as well. But per Aaron Wilson, the Raiders worked out former Marshall cornerback Micah Abraham. He played with the Herd, right? They're the Herd from 2019 to 2023. And what's interesting about this is he was selected by the Colts this season in the 6th round of the 2024 NFL Draft. And when you hear some of the notes on him, and I can remember Tom talking to me about this guy in terms of like, Tom's always, I think, really good at being able to do it from this is how it makes sense from a Raider standpoint. He's like an Amik Robertson, just not as good, if that helps you kind of help out. But Lance Zierlein said this: ball hawking cover man with impressive instincts and rare ball production. Abraham is highly experienced as a wide corner, but a lack of size with necessity to move into the slot. He plays with greedy eyes and is constantly looking to make a play on the football. He looks twitchier on tape than he did at his pro day and already possesses NFL caliber ball skills. His technique and pad level can be sloppy, and that must be ironed out if he is to have a shot at covering in the NFL slot targets. His aggressive mindset extends to his hitting and tackling. Abraham is capable in man or zone coverage, but zone might give him the best chance to shine at the next level. The reason why I compared him to Amik also is because everybody said the exact same thing about Robertson of, he's undersized, he's not big enough to play on the outside. You got to kick him in the inside. And there were some times that Amik showed you that, you know what, man, I got that dog in me to go out there and play on the outside. And Micah's tape to me is better on the outside. And sometimes if it's not broken, don't fix it. He is built to be more of a slot in the NFL, but that's also like not where his strengths are. He is an aggressive player. And when I hear of aggressive players, I do think of Jack Jones, somebody that nobody thought was going to have, another chance in the NFL, goes through waivers. The Raiders are the only team that goes out there, ends up picking him up, brings him onto this team, and he's an aggressive mindseted guy. And for the Raiders that have a defense that's led by Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, they're going to be able to get pressure on QBs. When you have an aggressive corner, it is something that does help you out quite a bit. Now, again, Kai Blue Kelly is on the Raiders practice squad. Maybe he does end up getting put up there. We just wanted to put him on the depth chart just so you guys could kind of see the new addition that the Raiders ended up making. Before I get out of here today, since it's the football season, Chugs and I go live every single Thursday night football game. And I love Thursday night football because I get to know y'all better. You get to know Chugs and I better. We put those drinking pants on. We have a little bit of a shit show. And then guess what? We have some fun. If you're down to have a good time on Thursday night, we're going to go live an hour and a half probably before kickoff because we also do some other like Raiders stuff beforehand, just that way we can get some content done. That way it's not just Thursday Night Football shenanigans. We will get some Raiders content done beforehand. So please hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications and make sure you're joining us for Bills at Dolphins because this is a game that will have playoff aspirations. This is going to be a game where I think obviously one of these teams is going to make the playoffs. One of these teams is going to win that division. I don't think it's going to be the New York Jets. I do think it's one of them. But one of these teams also is going to be battling for a wild card spot. And I know we lost to the Chargers, but I'm not giving up playoff hopes quite yet. All right, Jeremy, on PrizePicks again, get 50 when you play 5. Code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS. 43.5 receiving yards for Jacoby Myers versus Baltimore. Are y'all going with more or are you going with less? Let me know down in the comments section.
See, this is a toughie because I think the Ravens' defense is much better than the Chargers' defense. I mean, last year, the Ravens' defense led the NFL in sacks. Like, this is a defense that is very good. I think their corners are much better. Marlon Humphrey is a name that kind of gets lost in track with a lot of the corners in the NFL, but
he's great.
He's a really good
top
corner.
10. He's top 10.
They have a good secondary there in Baltimore, so don't hate me, Raider Nation, but I'm going with the less.
I think this is going to be a physical football game.
Oh, what? Would you like to say something? We have our Ravens host, Mr. Joey Peterson.
I promise I'm not 3 feet tall.
Best secondary in the league.
You think it's the best secondary in the league?
I think it's got the most weapons secondary in the league.
I mean, they're stacked. I mean, they really are. I mean, I think when you talk about great defenses and just teams that are just always good year in and year out, it's the Baltimore Ravens are one of those teams, and they're pretty solid. Here, I'll let you talk about your defense.
Are you worried about Lamar Jackson? Tell us your thoughts on Lamar, because we just talked about the Lamar injury.
Great. Did you talk about the Adam Schefter report as of like 20 minutes ago? Okay, Adam Schefter went on Pat McAfee's show and said that it was, from his understanding, it's just like an extra day because he was sore and beat up and a little bit hurt from the game.
That's
against
basically
Kansas
what
City.
Mitch had said in the
Yeah,
video.
so
we're good.
pretty much what everybody kind of thought it was. Nothing serious. I wouldn't say it affects his ability to play on Sunday. But yeah, one of the best secondaries in the league. Lost a lot on pass rush. And where the Raiders win this game is ultimately with the offensive line for the Ravens. There we go.
I don't know.
That might be a sign. I hope it's not a sign.
All of our lights just randomly turned off. I mean, did y'all see that? Like, all of our lights just turned. As soon as Joey started talking, lights went out.
It wasn't as drastic. It just got a little darker on screen, but yeah, that was weird.
That was weird.
Go Flock.
Get the flock out of here.
Oh, get the flock out of here. Oh, man. I mean, I will say this. I know that that's our rival, but at the same time, you know, like, it's always good to be able to bring in guys that follow the team as closely as what I follow the Raiders. You're able to get inside scoops, and we're going to do an inside look video probably later in the week. More than likely, it's going to be on Thursday, right before that Dolphins game ends up going down. What up, Curtis? After the signing, what moves would you make? I mean, the first move that I would make is putting Cody Whitehair's ass on the bench. I'm just saying that right now, and I don't think that that's the move that you're talking about, but I would consider going out and I would trade for a guy like Azeez Ojulari if I'm going to talk about an outside move, offer the New York Giants a 5th-round pick. Then, since Azeez does only have 1 year left on his contract, I would consider the idea of going out there and giving him a small extension. And I'm just confident in Azeez because that was somebody Patrick Graham wanted. And you go look at Azeez Ojulari's numbers. He was by far the best he was in that rookie season with Patrick Graham. He had 8 sacks as a rookie. PG leaves, and they switch up a lot of things on him. And sometimes, you know, I don't like to just look at stats because you got to look at the player overall. Azeez isn't somebody that's going to go out there and do much in the run game. Like, that's just not his strength. He is an edge rusher. Think about how much the New York Giants have been losing and how often teams are able to just run the football on them, which then hurts Azeez's potential. If you put him on a football team, again, Raiders, hopefully you just pin his ears back and get after somebody, but that's a move that I would like to go out there and make. Let's go to Mr. Champion. Will Davante be traded? What would we get? This is a very controversial topic for obvious reasons. To me, if the Raiders are, and I keep saying this, so maybe you're new to the show, if the Raiders are anything worse than 4-5 at the NFL trade deadline, the NFL trade deadline is going to be one of the craziest days in the world, November 5th. If you don't know what that day is, then you can look it up on your calendar. November 5th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, the Raiders play the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 9. If they're 4-5 or worse, I think that there is a 50% chance that Davante Adams gets traded. If they are 4-5 or better, I don't think that he's going to go anywhere unless a team offers you a first-round pick. And as much as we love Davante, if the Raiders are bad, you got to consider going out and trading your most valuable asset that is not Max Crosby, because Max is a guy you can't trade. Can't trade Max. And I've also seen a lot of people have been talking about trading like for a QB. I saw on Twitter the other day somebody said Davante Adams, Tyree Wilson, and 2 first-round picks for Josh Allen. The amount of questions that I have gotten around Josh Allen recently about trades, I don't know who started talking about it. I don't know who brought it up. I have no idea. But there's a 0% chance the Buffalo Bills trade Josh Allen. If you wanted to get Josh Allen from the Bills, I think it starts with 10 first-round picks, which isn't even possible, and I think Buffalo still says no to that. Let's go to my man, Uncle Drew. Are you doing watch parties in Vegas this year that we can go to? It's always a maybe. It's more of a, is somebody willing to bring us out there, just because I don't think people realize, like, again, like, this is how Jeremy and I provide for our families. It's a full-time job, and us going out there, it's not free. It's going to cost money. We have to be able to go out there, and we have to be able to do certain things. So if somebody's willing to pay for us to come out there and, you know, pay the fee that comes along with it, we are more than happy to do it. Now, again, we don't get that money. That goes to Chat Sports. Like, so it's like, you know, Jeremy and I, we get to go out there and we get to hang out, and I hope the answer is yes. Like, I'm exhausted. My voice sounds like shit. That's also because I had a wedding and a watch party this weekend. But, like, being able to go out there and shake hands with people, like being able to meet 93 Navman. I'm literally wearing the Wolf jersey because we got to hang out with Nathan Wolf in North Carolina. Like, he showed me and my dad a video this weekend of his son in the back of his car. Pause, right? Son in the back of the car screaming Raiders, and he did a bang in a car seat. And I'm like, bro, I'll tell you this right now. That shit's amazing to me. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I would love to be able to. I don't know because nobody is offered to bring us out there. Let's go to Darren Winston. Colton Miller gave up 2 sacks. Terrible O-line. Colton Miller did get worked a little bit, and sometimes we only talk about the rustiness of a quarterback or, the amount of times I've heard today, Brandon Ayuk not practicing. He was rusty. He dropped that touchdown pass. We can also talk about it with Colton Miller, somebody who hasn't been healthy, somebody who has not really practiced this entire offseason, and you get a tough matchup. You got to go out there right away, and you're going up against Khalil Mack. You're going up against Joey Bosa, good edge rushers, Bud Dupree. The other side of this, though, is, and I'm not, based off of conversations that I've had with Raiders starting offensive linemen, when you put certain guys next to them, that doesn't always mean that they love playing next to that guy. Like the Chargers were trying to go after that left side of the offensive line because they saw how weak Cody Whitehair was. They saw how much Andre James was struggling. And if I'm a defensive coordinator, and Michigan's got Minter, they also have Harbaugh, they were going after that side. They were going after Colton Miller. Why? Because he knew that he had Cody Whitehair and Andre James on one side. They didn't really go after the other side because Dylan Parham and Thayer Munford is a better duo. It might be. Thayer Munford and Dylan Parham might be a better duo than Colton Miller and Cody Whitehair. That's not me saying that Munford or Parham's better than Miller because Miller's the best offensive lineman we got. But you also have to consider the fact that he's trying to probably make up for a lot of the bullshit that Cody Whitehair's letting go through. Let's go to Adrian Rodriguez. I feel if our O-line upgrades, we are a playoff team. The O-line needs to upgrade. The offensive coordinator needs to call a better game. Antonio Pierce needs to do a better job of managing high-pressure situations. You can't miss a field goal when you're a team that's not going to score a lot of points offensively. You got to limit your turnovers, and you need your quarterback play to be better. The only reason why I have been I don't know if the Raiders are a playoff caliber team, and I think that they have a Super Bowl caliber defense, but you might legitimately have one of the worst offenses in the NFL because you have one of the worst quarterback situations, and that's not anything new. You have an offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, that hasn't been good for multiple seasons, and your offensive line, which I was hoping was going to be a strong point, battling in the trenches, looks like one of the worst offensive lines right now in the NFL. Yeah. If you have the quarterback situation that the Raiders do, the offensive coordinator that the Raiders do, and the offensive line's playing that way, I don't care if you have Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams, Michael Mayer, Trey Tucker. You're not going to get open because that's sometimes the game is as simple as if you're not winning in the trenches, you're probably not going to win that football game. Let's go to Conscience. What's up, man? See it rolling in here. Also, reminder, hashtag Raiders.
Pushing 10 Charters was asking about, how much to bring us out. Our bosses are actually watching our live stream right now. So if you want to hit us up, if you want to, message me or Mitch, have some of those conversations. We're not going to have it over the live chat right now, but if you want to have that conversation, pushing 10 Charters or anybody else, hit up me or hit up Mitch on social media. We'll pass it along to the Chat Sports team, and then we can talk that way.
Yeah, I would say doing a watch party in a bar, a restaurant, we could basically do anything as long as we have an internet connection. Anything's possible, but don't be afraid. Hit us up. Maybe give me an email, something that I could do. Message Jeremy an email, and we'll get it going. Let's go to Conscience. I agree with AP's decision. We missed 3 attempts to gain 1 yard. We don't trust Getsy's offense, so why trust him? After the whole game, he showed us nothing. The reason why you do it is because, and I don't want to say you have to, and I get it, you failed multiple times to pick up 1 yard. However, if it's 4th and 1 at the 43-yard line, and you're going to turn the field over a little bit, gets you to the 8-yard line. I think you also got to account for that it's late in the game. That's asking a lot of your defense, and your defense played pretty well for the majority of the game. I think they probably had 3 or 4 yards go for I bet you if you go back and you look at those running snaps, and I don't even know if anybody has this stat, I bet you that majority of the Raiders' rush attempts against them, they gave up 2 to 5 yards. And then they had like 3 or 4 that went for like 125 yards. Like, we did a good job. The reason why, though, you can't do it is the analytics are there. And I know AP said he's not going to look at the analytics. But think about how many points you're down. You're down a full score, right? Like, you got to be able to go out there and show some confidence in your team. And to me, if you're going to be as confident as a head coach as Antonio Pierce is when he takes that podium, sometimes you just got to do it to show that you believe in your team. You believe in your guys. And I don't blame him for not believing in the offense. I don't think a lot of us believe in the offense right now. But sometimes you just got to do things even if it hasn't worked just because it's the smart thing to do. Like, and I don't really know how else to put it besides that. Like, I have heard Antonio Pierce's decision. And I've heard him double down on it. But it wasn't the right thing to do. It wasn't the smart move to do. And yet again, it proved to be the absolute case. Let's go to Twinkie YT. What up, Twinkie?
Twinkie.
To Winky. Just a thought, how would we have looked if Ziegler would have not let McDaniels walk all over him and drafted C.J. Stroud? Love the show. I can hit you with 2 ways here, right? The first way is this. I know what we think of C.J. Stroud. And C.J. Stroud is a no doubt top 10 quarterback in the NFL. If you told me right now I could build a team around any QB in the NFL not named Patrick Mahomes, I'm taking C.J. Stroud. I'm taking him over Joe Burrow. I'm taking him over Josh Allen because he's young. He's shown me a lot of things, and I think that he's going to go that right way.
The very interesting thing about Stroud, too, is for a guy as young as he is all about leadership and all about his faith. He is a man of God, and, like, honestly,
good leader.
To see that, to see, a young guy who he's going to get paid. He's going to get one of the biggest contracts in NFL history. And I don't think that this is a guy that you'll see out at the club every night, doing that kind of stuff. He's not that guy at all. I mean, in his spare time, he runs a charity with his mom for inner city kids. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's a solid dude, and I mean it's been very well documented. And I think it's one of the things, you got to look at everything that happened with that situation. Texans trade away Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns. You got to make sure that if you're going to bring in another star quarterback, he's got to be polished.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that
and
people
not in that way.
Sure.
You don't want.
True. Yeah. I'm not even going to get into that. But I do think, the other side of it is this. If you think that C.J. Stroud is that dude, and he looks like that dude, I think then Ziegler and McDaniels are still coaching here. And the other side of that coin is, are we sure that C.J. Stroud is as good as C.J. Stroud is if Josh McDaniels is his head coach?
That's a good point.
I actually don't know if we're talking about Stroud the way that we are if Josh McDaniels is the head coach of that young man. So, yeah, sitting here right now, and I could say I would love to have C.J. Stroud as our quarterback with Antonio Pierce as our head coach. I think that we're one of the best teams in the National Football League. The other side of that is, if C.J. Stroud's your quarterback, Josh McDaniels is still your head coach. Dave Ziegler's still running that thing. And is C.J. Stroud as good as what C.J. Stroud is? It's easy to talk about what ifs, but we also got to talk about that what if because that's a big one. And I wouldn't trust Josh McDaniels to do anything with anyone, point blank, period. Speaking of Watson, though, I do think an interesting debate I had with somebody and recently, and I want to know what you guys have to say to this. So if you haven't been following along with all the Deshaun Watson stuff, basically Deshaun Watson's got a little bit of an issue that popped up. I shouldn't even say little. He's got an issue that popped up yet again, okay? And the Cleveland Browns, when they traded for him, they gave him $230 million fully guaranteed. If anything pops up again, which something has popped up, in that contract, again, I don't know the ins and outs of it totally, but there is a clause in there where Cleveland has the ability to cut Deshaun Watson and save all the money on his contract. My question to Raider fans out there is this. If the Browns cut Deshaun Watson tomorrow, would you be interested in going out and getting him?
I think...
Because I had somebody ask me that, and I was like, that's a hell of a discussion topic.
If you can't hire Eric Bieniemy, no way in hell can you sign Deshaun Watson.
Completely agree. It's just he's a quarterback. I
but then
completely agree with you.
But then that takes away from everything that you just said about Biletnikoff 20 minutes ago. Because if you're gonna waive it for this guy because he's more athletically talented than another guy, then you should just go ahead and hire Eric Bieniemy.
I'm not gonna disagree. That's actually was gonna be one of my points that didn't know if you were gonna say. I put it in my back pocket. That was my argument. So Chugs just took it from me point blank. I think the other thing is he hasn't been good. Like,
yeah,
he's been bad. And they've put a lot of talent around him. So I'm glad I'm seeing a lot of no's down there, down in the comments, because I already know if it does end up happening and if the Browns end up releasing him to save all that money on their deal. And if I'm Cleveland, I'm trying to do everything in my power to get rid of him because he hasn't been good and he's a PR nightmare. And I just can't imagine he's a very likable guy.
Imagine Watson in Vegas.
Yes.
If he's getting into this trouble in Houston and in Cleveland, which Houston, they have their clubs, obviously it's a huge city, so maybe not then. He's getting in trouble in Cleveland though.
Sure.
In Cleveland, Ohio, no chance you stand a month, 2 months in Las Vegas. No way. The Bunny Ranch would eat this man up. Literally.
Yeah, I mean, then again, he might be weird enough to. I'm not even going to do that. I'm not even going to do it. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you do so. Woo! Seriously, we're pumping out a lot of content. I know we got this show started a little bit early. It's all good, Chugs. We don't got to do that. I was trying to do some shit shows today. It seems like I know it's early for a lot of y'all. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do one more segment here on today's live stream. It's going to be around Cody Whitehair and me just begging Raiders. I don't know if you're watching the show, AP and Telesco, you got to bench this guy. So I'm going to do a whole segment around why the Raiders need to bench Whitehair, the offensive line that I would like to see, other players that we could potentially use to replace him, because it's easy to say bench a guy. That's the problem. Bench him. What's the solution? I got the solution coming up here on today's show.
Taino, appreciate the support. We don't have to give him a lot of clout. Glock Lesnar, he's got a tiny weenie.
I don't even know who that is. So
he's a dude with a millimeter Peter.
Is he in the chat? Because I don't see him.
Yeah, he's just another guy talking shit. I mean, the thing is with these internet trolls is we know he doesn't even have his picture on his profile and he's using a fake name. No chance this dude has even gotten in any physical altercation in real life. Possibly not even talked to a woman in real life. So I'm not really worried about some fake troll who's probably living in his mom's basement. He's working a 9 to 5 at Walmart. He's making sure whenever you have water at the bottom of your cart that he checks your little, make sure he checks to make sure that the water is on your receipt. He's one of those guys just upset with his life that he has a shitty life and he's not able to talk about the Raiders like me and Mitch. So it's all good. I appreciate the support, but yeah, you box in your mom's basement, Glock Lesnar. You box old women, so it's all good. Glock Lesnar,
I'll
tiny
say this.
tiny wiener Glock.
I'll say this. I've never met a successful troll in my life. I think people who are actually successful try to bring each other up. Yeah. Glock, I'm just going to say that maybe you're just upset that the Raiders are 0-1. Hopefully that you'd be a happier person if the Raiders get a win.
He's an angry elf.
I'll also say this, man. If you're going to come to the chat, try to bring some good vibes. If you're not, we're just going to block you. But I'll also say every comment that you put in is actually helping me and Jeremy right now. So if you don't want to help us, just go somewhere else, man.
I don't come to your McDonald's and mess with you, okay, buddy? So you're coming here on our stream. You're messing with us. I don't go into your Walmart trying to mess around. I don't go into whatever Wendy's that you work at. So it's all good.
Do you like Wendy's?
What's the difference between jelly and jam?
I bet your Glock knows.
And Jake North, it's all good that you work at Walmart. There's nothing against that. I'm just saying Glock, Lesnar, tiny weenie.
There is absolutely positive. I'll tell you this right now. One of my friends, she did, I shouldn't say friends, somebody who I'm related to used to work at Walmart, and they did a lot of the digital marketing and stuff like that. I mean, that's a wild, wild place. You gotta be a different breed, I'll tell you that, though, to work at Walmart. That's a tough place to work.
Yeah.
You ever see that?
I take it back. Glock. I take it back.
When I see
there's no way he could work at Walmart.
when I was a kid,
He's not tough enough.
did you ever look up People of Walmart? Do you know that website?
No.
You don't know People of Walmart? Bro, it is I can remember when I was a kid, somebody was like, have you ever seen the website People of Walmart? Have you guys ever seen it? Y for yes, N for no. Look it up sometime. It's just like the craziest outfits that people wear at Walmart. Like, it's things that you're like, I can't even believe, 1, you have it in your closet. 2, you decided to put it on. 3, you walked into a public place that might have kids around. 4, again, how is it even happening? It's an unbelievable thing.
I've seen some wild...
Bro, look up People at Walmart.
I've been at Walmart at midnight one time. This
dude.
larger woman was wearing nothing but a thong, a bra, all fishnet.
That's called
fishnet from head
That's
to
called
toe.
nothing but cakes right there.
Nothing but cakes.
That's what that is. That is
We have
nothing
a couple
but
super
cake.
chats, and then we'll get into today's show.
Yeah.
The last one around Cody Whitehair. First, Rebel Montana. Marsh would pick Jones, then Watts. I don't know what Marsh would do.
Kind of an update here on, I don't know if you guys have been following the whole Tyreek Hill situation. So there were like multiple, we'll call them police officials, that were saying that Tyreek Hill was traveling at 100 miles per hour. That's why he got pulled over. It's now come out how fast he was going. He was going 60. 60 miles an hour. I'll tell you this right now.
Wait, in a what zone, though?
I don't know.
Not that it matters, because
I don't know.
They obviously didn't tell the truth in that instance, but I do wonder what the...
I haven't been reading it as closely as what it is. I will say this, though. One of my best friends, he's a groomsman at my wedding. He's a police officer, and he tells me all the time just how difficult being a police officer is, which I think everybody here knows that. It was a 55 zone. 60 and a 55, dude. I mean... Again, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but what's always sad is you have the 1% of really shitty people that ruin it for everyone else. And there's so many really amazing police officers out there. There's so many people that do their job right. And then you get, Glock Lesnar over there with his tiny dick trying to get Tyreek Hill pissed off. But I know, you get people that just ruin it for everyone. And I hope if you guys haven't, just watch the Tyreek Hill thing. It's
And see,
it's tough to watch, man.
I had a take on that earlier where it's like there's something in the middle. Of course, could Tyreek Hill have handled himself in the situation better? Yes. Could the police Could the police in that instance have handled it better? Yes. I think on both sides they should both take a look and say, hey, nobody handled this situation in a mature manner. Everybody was acting with their ego, acting like they were the biggest guy in the room. And that's the biggest problem that happened with that video, is everybody was acting like they were a big shot. Yep. Tyreek Hill, obviously, nothing he said or did warranted what happened towards him. But at the same time, I think on both sides there needs to be a little bit more respect on that end, That's my whole take around it, is a little area of gray of, I agree, like everything should have been conducted in a more respectful, better manner. But I think both sides need to look in the mirror and say, hey,
could have done better.
This whole situation could have been avoided if Tyreek Hill maybe wasn't giving as much attitude and the cops weren't, acting the way that they did. So I think it's on both sides, in my opinion.
I don't disagree that it's on both sides, but I definitely think that there was one side clearly more in the wrong. But
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think at the end of the day, sometimes people just got to swallow their pride a little bit and just understand that you don't have to always be the big guy in the room. If somebody tells you to do something, you can do it.
Yeah.
But then also, you don't have to act like a total...
Glock Lesnar.
Let's go with that. What's up, Miggy? Cheers, Mitch Chugs in the chat. Chill, Lil Brock. Big Migs is here.
I'm taking him every day out of the week, 2 times on Sunday. Give me Miggy over Glock.
I mean, I'll tell you this. Miggy's a good guy, and I wouldn't want Miggy to fight my battle. However, I'd be happy if Miggy was fighting in my corner.
Glock Lesnar says my RV doesn't have a basement, so that's fair.
Hey, you know, sometimes it is what it is, man. Miggy, I appreciate that you got my back, man, and I think that's the cool part about the nation. Some of y'all have never actually shaken my hand, and you're like, you know what? I got that guy's back.
Twinkie.
I am a diesel tech now, but before I was a dock worker, and that's chaotic as hell. Just watching people's freight tip over in, like, slow motion is hilarious. So, you know, I used to do valet parking back in high school, and even, like, when I got out of high school after college, I did it for a year. And, you know, I volunteered at some places like a Walmart, let's say, you know, Home Depot, Lowe's, because, you know, sometimes you just got to make some money to make ends meet. And I did a lot of that stuff. Believe me when I tell you this, I did roofing I started roofing with my dad at like 14 years old. I never want to do that work again, man. Like, I'm very, very happy I'm working here. So based off what Chugs and I said, it's not a knock. It was more on that Glock guy. But I know how hard people work sometimes. It blows my mind. Let's go to Wild One. What's up, man? If you ever get a chance to attend a live event, do everything you can to attend. Thank you, Mitch, Chugs, and Raider Nation for an unforgettable memory.
Dude,
I mean, we had a great time, dude.
Regardless of the game, because the game sucked.
The game sucked. Oh, my God.
The event was amazing. Being able to see Wild One in person, he was having a great time. We were all having such a great time.
He was trolling a little bit.
He was trolling a little bit, but at the end of the day, we all had a really good time hanging out together, and it was fun to like meet a ton of Raider fans, meet guys. We met another Raider fan who lived in Germany, like Mitch did.
So there was a Germany Raider fan. He ended up pulling up. Got to meet him. Somebody flew in from London, not Martin, but they flew in from London.
We should have gotten him connected with Martin.
We should have. I mean, it's also the two-sided coin of maybe Martin doesn't want it or maybe the other person doesn't want it. And, you know, I think if you watch the show, you'll know who Martin is, right? Like, if you watch the show, you could have already figured out a way to probably link those guys up. But, man, it was such a good time. I really, really wish we could have done better. Based off the conversation I had with Daryl and Nick, you know, now Indiana Bones, we had probably 100, 125 Raiders fans in North Carolina that were staying around, watch the game.
Chef was killing it. Not John Scheffler, but
Chef. Raider Chef.
Raider Chef.
Yep, Chef was killing it. I mean, like, just being able to meet people that you've never met before but have talked to so often on an online basis, to be able to shake hands, like Nathan Wolf was, we had a great time with Nathan. There's so many names. I'm just forgetting so many. That's kind of upsetting me right now.
93 Navman.
Navman was there. Ran into Rustin Long was there. Rustin, hopefully you're okay. Rustin was not afraid to have a good time.
He told me that he had to work at 5 a.m. the next morning.
5 a.m.?
Yes.
No chance,
I was like,
dude.
That's what I said. I was like, dude, he left around like 12, 1 o'clock. No, was it that late? It was like 11:30 midnight.
I'm not convinced that he's not still asleep. He's sleeping it off. Rustin Long, OG.
Rustin's girlfriend, too, she was throwing those shots around to everybody. I mean, I think she bought like 7 rounds of shots.
I thought that we were going to have to rename Tuna Clock. That's how many shots we did. Joseph. Beating the Ravens changes our season. Panthers, Browns, Broncos, Browns, all winnable games. 5-1, I believe. Well, you need another game in there for week 6. So, I mean, if you beat the Ravens, okay, and it's even like I was saying this the other day, where even if you lose to the Ravens, I think we're going to beat the Panthers. I think that we can obviously beat the Browns. We're going to beat the Broncos. That I can almost lock in. But, like, we got a lot of winnable games coming up. Now, I will admit, the back half of the Raiders season is where it gets tough. Like, you go from week 7 against the Rams, Chiefs, Bengals, bye week, Dolphins. That's a tough slate of games. I don't care how you shake it, right? Like, that's a tough slate of games. We got to get off to a hot start here, though. And win or lose against the Ravens, to me, you got to be, after week 5 against the Broncos, you got to be 3-2.
Yeah, because
got to be 3-2.
Regardless of you want to say from that week 1 game, the Raiders defense looked really good.
It did.
And the Chargers, they had a couple lucky things go their way.
Have you ever seen a quarterback throw a ball behind himself? Quite frankly, I don't know if I've ever seen it.
They got two lucky breaks that I think just changed the whole trajectory of the game.
Yeah.
1 was the Minshew fumble. 2 was the Carlson missed kick.
The Zamir fumble too, though. Like,
Yeah.
the Raiders were marching. Zamir puts the ball on the ground, and you're like, it was just another, oh, my God.
And then
Sail, just wind out of the sails.
After that, I feel like Zamir just was not running the ball the same at all either.
He was afraid to fumble. He was playing the rest of that game afraid to fumble. But sometimes, like, that's just what happens in the NFL. You got a bunch of teams that are very equally matched, really good football teams, and that shit happens.
Paul, you're right. The third one would be the 4th and 1 where
4th and 1 was
they
a bad
should've gone
one.
for it.
4th and 1 was a bad one, no doubt about it. And, again, I'll say it one time over and over and over and over again. If you're going to turn the ball over 3 times and miss a field goal, you're just not going to win games if you're the Raiders, especially up against Jim Harbaugh on a team that doesn't commit a lot of turnovers.
We're going to do one more Super Chat, and then we'll get into our next segment because I think this one's a juicy one. Chance-tastic.
Since he's getting flack, maybe Telesco takes a chance and gets Bryce Young. Depends on how much faith Carolina has in him. I still think he's that guy.
So I don't think this happens until the end of this season. I don't think he gets traded this year. At the end of this year, if the Panthers have the number 1 overall pick,
yep.
Do you think they trade Bryce Young?
In a heartbeat. It's not even a decision. I mean, what's going to happen is very, very similar to, I think, something that happened with the Bears and Justin
Rosen?
Fields. Huh?
Same with Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray.
Same with Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray. I mean, you can have a quarterback, and I'll tell you this right now. Bryce Young has not been good, but I also think it's that situation where he's just not confident in anything around him. Like, when you watch him play at Alabama, he was cool, calm, and collected. He's just not confident right now.
And I think that was 100% fair for last season because he had nothing around him.
Nothing.
All the Panthers did this offseason was build around Bryce Young.
Yep.
So this year is really where it's like if they have a number 1 or number 2 overall pick, I don't know how the quarterback class is going to pan out towards the end of the season. I know Cam Ward's been looking really good, Quinn Ewers as well. A couple of guys have looked really good at the quarterback position. Shador, even though the Colorado Buffalo suck and he kind of did a douche move and left early from the game, he still looked good. I think if they have a 1st or 2nd overall pick, it's a discussion of what do they do with Bryce Young.
I mean, to me, if you're going to be a team like Carolina and you're going to move on from Bryce Young, I think that you go with somebody that you think is going to be the best, like, safest choice, best leader of men. And I don't know him well enough yet, but based on that area, I would say it'd be Carson Beck. Now, I want to see more out of Beck. I've been impressed by Carson Beck. But the other thing that scares me with Bryce Young is, which is never going to change, he's small. Like, he is noticeably small out there on the field. Where it's a noticeable thing.
Whenever they do training camp and it's without pads, he looks like a high school kid out there.
It's worrisome. Like, you almost wonder if he's going to pop. Like, if he gets tackled, it just pops like a grape.
Yeah.
You don't know.
And the thing is, you know, if you're that size of a quarterback, you have to either be just insanely accurate and on point with everything you do like a Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Or you have to be like a Kyler Murray and be able to beat teams with your legs. And I don't know if Bryce Young has either of those. I don't think he's on the Drew Brees side where he's insanely accurate, and he's definitely not on the Kyler Murray side where he is going to hurt you with his legs. So it's a weird medium where he did really well in college and kind of sucks because
a lot of talent.
Yeah, he had a ton of talent around him.
Not his final year at Alabama. I think that was the one year where his final year at Alabama impressed me because it wasn't like the typical Alabama offenses that you've seen. He made some very special plays, carried that team. Huh?
He had Devontae Smith, didn't he?
His senior year? Oh man, I don't know, because I can remember. Now he might have had Devontae his senior year. I just thought he didn't. I don't think he did actually. I don't think that he did. I think his like 1 year, the year he won the Heisman, he had like Waddle, Devonta. Oh, now I don't know. Now I'm even second guessing myself. Second guessing. Can't get right said ate 12 boiled eggs before the game. What does that mean? You ate 12 boiled eggs before a football game? That's insane. I don't feel like Devonta Smith was on that team.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was.
Who did he have?
Oh my God.
I don't think he had any big name receivers. Off the top of my head, like I don't think that
that last year that he was on the team, let's see. He had Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay.
He had
I mean, obviously, it was still a talented team. It's Alabama.
Jermaine Burton. Yeah, not the wide receiver room that goes wild.
What? So, Jamison Williams, Waddle, John Ketchum, John Mechie. Chance. All right. I mean, again, like, you're obviously an Alabama fan here, and I know that you're going to be loyal to Bryce Young, but I don't think it's impossible to consider that he could be somewhere else after next season. Even if Carolina doesn't, okay, even if Carolina doesn't have the number 1 overall pick, I think if you finish in the top 5 with how much money that they did spend this offseason, you got to consider moving on because it has not looked good. Now, again, that was against a good Saints defense, a game that went kind of weird really, really quick, but that was not a pretty game at all. All right, y'all, so here's what we're going to do. We got one more segment to go, and then after that segment, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you. We're going to make some deals, and if you want Chugs and I to stay live, then guess what? We're going to stay live. If not, hey, it's all good. We'll say bon voyage a little bit early. We did want to get here live a little bit early. We've been live for now almost about 2 hours covering the K'Lavon Chaisson signing by the Las Vegas Raiders. Continue to get those questions in, hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. But I got a message out there that I'm going to need everybody's help here, okay? I'm going to need everybody's help to get this message across because it's not going to be, we're not going to get it done if it's just me. We're not going to get it done if it's just Chugs and I. You're not going to be able to get it done by yourself. It's going to take an entire nation. And it worked before. So damn it, why can't it work again? Coming up here, I'm going to ask the entire nation to help me tell the Raiders that it is time to bench Cody Whitehair. Cody Whitehair cannot start anymore for the Las Vegas Raiders, and it's time for the Silver and Black to bench him. The problem with the Raiders right now, one of the big ones, is Cody Whitehair. Don't get me wrong, Lou Getsy's definitely in that thing too, but it's not easy to go out there and say, hey, this is the problem. Actually, it is easy to say that's the problem. What's difficult is being able to go out there and find that solution. So if you agree that it is time to put Cody Whitehair on the bench, then I need you to share this video. And I know that I can be loud. I know that Jeremy can be loud, but we are way louder as a nation. And we did this before, and it worked. The most shared video that this channel has ever put out was a video about that there's multiple Raiders players that want Josh McDaniels fired. And I said, hey, we need to get this message out there. Mark Davis needs to see it. Everybody needs to see it because we got to get rid of the clown. A week later at 1 a.m., the Las Vegas Raiders go out and they fire Josh McDaniels. So I know that we have a platform here. I know that we got over 173,000 diehard Raiders fans. But I'm asking y'all right now to click that share button. Post it on Twitter, put it on Instagram, click share, send it to somebody in a text group. Heck, put it on Reddit. I don't care where it's got to go. I'm not watching Cody Whitehair start at left guard anymore for the Silver and Black. It's disrespectful to Raider fans. It's disrespectful for people that are going out there and doing their job. Cody Whitehair can't play as a starting caliber player in the NFL. Good backup, can be a backup. But starting them, I'm not doing it anymore, and I need your help to get that message out there. So coming up here on today's show, I'm going to be breaking down why Whitehair should be benched. And the obvious reasons are there, right? They're going to be there. I'm also going to sit up here and say, though, who can play left guard for the Raiders? Because I'm also going to sit up here and say that I don't think that you need to go out and trade for anyone. I don't think that you need to go out and sign a free agent. There are players on your roster right now, multiple, that could play left guard better than Cody Whitehair. And then I'm going to do this at the very end of the show. Is going to be my ideal starting lineup, my ideal starting O-line against Baltimore on Sunday. So for me, I am sitting up here and I'm asking, I'm begging, I'm pleading. Whitehair hasn't been good. Y'all, like, not even good. He hasn't been decent since 2012, since 2022, excuse me. I'm so worked up right now. Whitehair's giving me Whitehair, and I feel like he's been on the team since 2012. When the Raiders went out and signed Whitehair, our Bears host, Harrison, he looked at me and go, that's going to be a bad signing. And I knew what Whitehair was. I knew what he represented, and everything that we saw showed up on tape. So week 1 was against the Los Angeles Chargers. He had a 47.7 overall PFF grade. That is ranked 59th out of 63 of the offensive guards per PFF. Now, I understand that PFF doesn't always get it right. When I saw their Joe Alt grade, believe me, I was shocked. But for anybody that watched the game, I'm talking start to finish, by far the biggest, weakest link on that offensive line was Cody Whitehair. It impacted Colt Miller. I know Colt Miller gave up 2 sacks, but Colt Miller's also got to play with the weakest link in the line. I know Andre James struggled at center, and James needed to be better. No doubt about it. I bet he would say the exact same thing. But I don't think that it's really a coincidence that our 2 offensive linemen that we probably had maybe the most confidence going into that game, Andre James struggled, Colt Miller struggled. Go back and watch the tape of how often the Chargers are targeting Cody Whitehair. And with Whitehair being out there, we couldn't run the football. You're not going to be able to run a Luke Getsy offense. You're not going to be able to run a 12 personnel offense. You're not going to be able to run an offense in general when Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, and if that's going to be the level of quarterback you have to be able to run the ball on the inside. You have to be able to be physical. This team is not going to move the football if Cody Whitehair is going to be out there on your offensive line. He is one of the worst. I bet he might be the worst starting offensive lineman in the National Football League right now. I just can't do it anymore. So to me, I think that he is obviously only starting because of the Jackson Powers-Johnson injury and that he hasn't been able to practice all offseason, that the coaching staff is worried of how healthy he is, whether or not he's going to be out there. But I also think it's Luke Getsy is clueless if he continues to start Whitehair. Like, I know that there's a lot of concerns about the play calling, and I don't know who's making the decision. Maybe it's James Craig's decision to go out there and start the veteran Whitehair. Maybe it's Antonio Pierce's decision. But I do think that one of the reasons why Whitehair is starting is because he was a member of the Chicago Bears last season, a member of the offense with Luke Getsy, and there's a little bit of familiarity there. Overall, though, when you look at the players that we have on this line, there is absolutely, positively no reason why you start Cody Whitehair. I know it says week 1 here against Baltimore. It's obviously week 1 versus LAC. That's on me. It's going to be 47 PFF grade, guys. I mean, and I actually think that him getting a 47 grade, imagine you take a test in high school, middle school. I don't really care where it is. You take a test and you get a 47. I bet you when Cody Whitehair sees that test results from PFF and he got a 47, he's like, wow, it's actually a lot better than what I thought I did. Because when I saw the 47 grade, I go, shit, that's a lot better than what I thought he did. Before we get into some other ways that the Raiders can improve this offensive line by putting Whitehair on the bench, and I got some players that deserve to play left guard over him, I got to give a shout-out to the Noti gang. Mad Vet Raider, Sergio Alfaro, Jaime Alvarado Sr. are always there. First people down in the comments section if you're like, Mitch, what the heck's the Noti gang? Subscribe to the Raiders Report, click the notification bell under the video, and then click all. If you do that, anytime I drop a video, it's like getting a text message. You're right there. You see the video. You get in there. When you do this, this does actually help me out. This is a free way that you can show Jeremy Chuggs and I that you appreciate the show. The other reason why I tell people to do it is because as soon as I click publish on a video, I refresh the tab, let the comments roll in, and I see those names. I get used to those names. And then I see the people in the live show. It helps me get to know y'all a little bit better. So if you appreciate the show, subscribe and turn on those notifications. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, I got players that I would rather start at left guard over Cody Whitehair. Because again, I don't think you got to go out and spend any free agency money. I don't think you got to go out and do that. I think all you got to do is just have an honest look in the mirror and say, is Cody Whitehair the best option we have? And if the coach says, yes, Cody Whitehair is the best person we have at left guard, then I don't know if they're the right man for the job. Somebody else needs to be out there because it ain't Cody Whitehair. It's giving me Whitehair. Now, today's show is sponsored by Rocket Money. And if you haven't already gotten started with our sponsor, go to rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Stop wasting money on things that you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money in the easiest way by going to rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. Most people think that they're spending $80 on their subscriptions, when in reality, the number is closer to $200. When you're signed up for so many things like streaming services you used to watch one show or free trials for delivery you don't use, it's easy to lose track of what you're paying for. Rocket Money can even negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. That's rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. And, you know, when I talk about this stuff, like Forbes obviously says this app will help you save hundreds of dollars. And if If you know anything about Forbes, they're probably a lot better with money than I am. But I'm a man that I'm not afraid to sit up here and say I am saving up for a wedding. I'm saving up to be able to get a new vehicle for my fiance, Alex. You know, we're saving up for a house, and you don't always think about it, but it does start to add up little by little by little. I also love Alex, but she is the queen of signing up for something for free, and then 3 months goes by, and I'm like, what the hell is this random thing I'm getting charged for? And she's like, oh, yeah, I did sign up for that. And, like, it's going to happen. Life's busy. People are busy. You don't always worry about that stuff. How many people right now are dealing with the DirecTV stream BS? I know I am. I sent a screenshot to Rocket Money saying that, hey, I'm paying for the sports package. I'm not getting anything on ESPN. I can't even watch college football. They're going to renegotiate it because it happened to me about a year ago, too. And I was able to save, I want to say it was like $40 on my next bill. No, it's not a lot of money, but it's still $40, you know what I mean? So don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Use Rocket Money, rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. Here are some players that I would be willing to start over Cody Whitehair. The first name that I'm going to bring up here is Jackson Powers Johnson. Now, JPJ was drafted in the second round out of Oregon, and he's just one of those dudes that needs to get out there on the field. And I think for when the Raiders signed Whitehair, they didn't sign him with the idea to put him as a starter. They put him out there because he has played backup center. He can play backup left guard, and that's the route that the Raiders are wanting to go. So once JPJ gets healthy, God, I hope that they put him out there because he needs to go out there and start doing his thing. Another player that I would start over, Andres Pete. I know Pete has been mainly a left tackle his entire career, but sometimes what you got to do if you're an older player and you want to keep your thing going here, you might have to move it on the inside. Andres Pete right now, I'd have more confidence to play left guard than Cody Whitehair. The final name is going to be Thayer Munford. Like, Thayer Munford showed me last season that if you need to put him on the left side, he's going to be able to do it. Now, if you put Thayer Munford at left guard, that means you're going to put DJ Glaze as a starting right tackle, which guess what? I'm okay with. I am so frustrated with the Raiders, and again, I don't know if it's James Craig, Luke Getsy, but it does always come down to Antonio Pierce because that's the head coach. How are you starting Cody Whitehair? I mean, we were saying in May, June, July, August, Whitehair has no business starting at left guard. It reminds me of coaches that are almost too prideful to just go away from, I get you might have something in mind, but if it's not working, it's not working. And if Whitehair wasn't good last season, and he's still not good this season, and when you get abused the way that he did in that Week 1 game, I mean, alarm bells got to start going off in your head like, all right, yeah, maybe we made the wrong decision here putting him as the starting left guard. I don't care if JPJ is not ready to go. My point is this, and the reason why I'm making this show is I told myself I'm going to be patient. And I can promise this, you're not going to hear me say fire AP at all this season. But what I will do, and I'm not afraid to do, because that's what friends and family do. You call out people when they're slipping, just like I want y'all to call me out when I'm slipping. But AP, Luke Getsy, James Craig, make a decision, because what you're doing right now, it ain't working. And if you're going to run with the offense that we're going to run, we got to be physical. Cody Whitehair's not good enough to be physical. Coming up here on today's show is going to be my ideal starting offensive line for the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Baltimore Ravens. A defense that, quite frankly, is better than the Chargers. And if you're not able to be balanced against the Ravens, it's going to be a long, long, long Sunday. I also think that Thursday night's going to be a long day as well, but in a good way. Get those drinking pants on. Make sure you're tuned in, hanging out with Jeremy, Chugs, and I. We're going to be going live like we do all year long for every Thursday night football game. Why should you tune in? Because it's a show that we just let our hair down. We have a good time overall, and we're just hanging out, like I said, having a good time. We're going to have some drinking deals. We're going to be giving away some prizes. And if you're just going to end up watching the game anyway, hey, tune in. We will be going live probably about 90 minutes before kickoff. That way we can also get done some other Raiders content that we're going to end up getting done. But if you like hanging out with Jeremy and I, tune into Thursday Night Football, because there is no other better live show where y'all are going to get to know us better. That's not Andre James, just so you know. That you're not going to get to know better overall than, like, these Thursday Night Football games. On top of that, I think one of these teams is going to be in a wild card spot. On top of that, we're going to be going up against the Miami Dolphins in Week 11. Yeah, we don't play the Bills this season, but it's still good to know what we could potentially be going up against. That's why you should subscribe. That's why you should tune into our show here on the Raiders Report. So coming up here right now, we're going to get into the options for the Las Vegas Raiders on the offensive line that I would rather the silver and black do, because I have said multiple times, you cannot afford to have a guy like Cody Whitehair continuously going out there, and you can't have him going out there to start. The number one option that I would do in terms of a quicker turnaround, just because I believe that the one guy's a veteran, the other player might not be able to go out there and do it right away. Here's option number one that I would consider. Cole Miller at left tackle, Andres Pete at left guard, Andre James at center, Dylan Parham at right guard, Thayer Munford at right tackle. Andres Pete is a better guard, is a better offensive lineman than Cody Whitehair. And because he's a little bit more powerful, I think it would help actually also benefit Andre James, who is struggling a little bit in this new offensive line scheme with James Craig. Option number two. I would decide to kick over Thayer Munford to left guard, somebody who showed you that he could play left tackle, somebody who showed you that he could play a little bit of left guard, and then you put the rookie in DJ Glaze at right tackle, because I would rather have DJ Glaze going out there and starting over Cody Whitehair. To me, this is a better offensive line option than what the Raiders put out there in week one. And then the third and final option that I would rather do, again, like, we're getting to a point where you're moving so many pieces, which I don't really want to do. But this, to me, is an offensive line that I am more confident in than any line that you put out there with Cody Whitehair. Cole Miller, Dylan Parham, Andre James, Thayer Munford, and DJ Glaze. Munford has played right guard before. You keep working Glaze at right tackle. Hell, you can put DJ Glaze at right guard and keep Thayer Munford over at right tackle. If you haven't gotten my message yet from this video, it's because you're just tuning in. Cody Whitehair cannot start for the Las Vegas Raiders, and if he's out there again, I'm going to lose my mind. So this is where I need you guys to do. I need you to get loud. I need you to click that share button, and I need our voices to be heard. So here's the question. Who do you want to start at left guard for the Raiders this week against the Baltimore Ravens? Do you want it to be Whitehair? You could say it. Do you want it to be Andres Pete? Do you want it to be DJ Glaze? Do you want it to be Thayer Munford? Like, realistically, the guy that I want to start is Jackson Powers Johnson. However, though, until JPJ can prove to me that he's able to stay healthy for longer than a week, and this is something that Antonio Pierce wants. He wants JPJ to get some practice time in. He was unable to do that last week because he was sick or whatever the illness was. My bottom line is this. It can't be Cody Whitehair, and you have other options. JPJ, you got Andres Pete, you got Thayer Munford. I'd rather it be Dylan Parham. I'd rather it be DJ Glaze. I'd rather it be Jeremy Chuggs. It can't be Cody Whitehair. And if you agree with that, I need you to share this right now, because we got to get this out there. It just can't happen anymore. We cannot continue to start Cody Whitehair. I feel like a broken record at this point, and that's how I'm going to end this video. We can't start Cody Whitehair. Taino's spamming bench Whitehair. Again, benching is the easy part, but what's the solution to it? And, I mean, does anybody disagree with me where, I don't like moving around a lot of other players on the offensive line, but I have more confidence in all three of those options on the O-line than I do any other formation that you put together with Whitehair. I don't know. That's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. Somebody said bench Whitehair and Getsy. We will get to a point sooner rather than later that we are really going to start wondering what the hell is going on with Luke Getsy, which I hate saying it because I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised that the offense is struggling as bad as it is. But again, if you're going to turn the ball over 3 times, think about, they went for it on what, 4th down and 1? That was another turnover, missed a field goal, didn't go for it on 4th and 1. You can't have plays like that in a close rivalry game in week 1 and expect to win. So let's ask this question here. Again, one of our sponsors here on today's live show is PrizePicks. Shout out to them. And you can go there right now, the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. And right now for Brock Bowers against the Baltimore Ravens, 43.5 receiving yards. Are you going to go more or are you going to go less there? The only reason why I would be a little bit hesitant to go less is they do have one of the best defensive back groups in the NFL. I don't know who's going to be on him. Maybe it's going to be Kyle Hamilton, who's done a phenomenal job against tight ends in the past. But this is going to be one where when you see how often he got used in week 1, they want to get him involved very, very often. 43.5 receiving yards, though. Give me more, give me less. What are we thinking? Taino, Blake Goodwin, Gilbert Moreno are all going to go with a little bit more. I see less coming in here from Oakland fan. Day, what's up, man? He says more as well. Tony Stenhouse, Mitch, man, Raiders only man I'm upset with. We signed defensive end over offensive line. That's crazy. I'm also freaking out about our quarterback. It's not okay. I will say we needed to sign edge help, right? Like Malcolm Koonce is out 4 weeks at least, now only 3, could be out the whole year. Then you also have Tyree Wilson. He's going to be out probably multiple weeks, so you needed extra help at the defensive end group, and I just think when you look at the quarterbacks that were about to go up, you can say what you want about them. Lamar's very mobile. Bryce Young's mobile. Deshaun Watson, if he's still on the team, mobile. Your rookie quarterback in Bo Nix, he could move a little bit. So I do think going out and adding an extra defensive end was something that the Raiders absolutely needed to do here. All right, y'all, we got 600 people here in the building. Chugs, this is the game that we're going to play. I got a few beer bongs right here if you guys want to get it going. If not, hey, it is what it is. Chugs and I will get on out of here in about 5 minutes or so. We'll answer a little bit more questions. If you want us to stay live, though, I need y'all to bring the energy. I need you to be able to match it with me. So my boss, everyone said that, hey, Studio B this is where we're in, Studio B. We don't usually go live this early, so other people do need to get in here. But as long as we're still having a good time, we're bringing in some money. That's just me being real with y'all. So if you want Jeremy and I to stay live, continue to keep the questions rolling in. And every single 50 that we get here on today's show, I'm going to count it as a bang towards September. We're going to drink a little bit of beer. Every hundo I get, though, full beer bong today on the Raiders Report. Ah, dude, that sucks. Colts, young cornerback, Brent, that kid from Kansas State, he's out. He's out for the year. Knee injury. That was a guy that I think for a lot of people that watch the show a lot know that. I feel like that's not what he went by, though. Did he go by a different name, or am I tripping? Is it? All right, maybe I'm crazy. What? You all right? Oh, I'm like, you're good? Up and early and still late. What's up, fam? Yeah, we went live probably about 2 hours ago. We went live about 2 hours ago. The Raiders signed K'Lavon Chaisson, and I was like, I don't know if they're going to put him on the active roster or on the practice squad. He ended up going on the practice squad. Also, the Raiders signed Blue Kelly, a cornerback. They worked out multiple guys today, and I will be interested to see if any other moves do end up going down for the Raiders by 4 o'clock. But K'Lavon Chaisson, he was signed to the practice squad, and this is somebody who, reminder, Telesco was saying that he wanted to add a little bit of extra defensive end depth due to the injuries to Malcolm Koonce, due to the injury to Tyree Wilson. So to be able to go out and get somebody that does have high upside, I like, because I believe in our coaching staff. Blue Kelly, I'm not even going to sit up here and get it twisted. Like, I got to do a little bit more research on him. I don't know too much about him and the style of player that he personally is, but at 6 foot 193, I know the Raiders have been looking for just a little bit more depth there at the cornerback position since, Brandon Faison obviously ended up settling that injury settlement. Settling an injury settlement is just a weird thing to say out loud. Now, the next time Jeremy and I are going to be live is going to be on Thursday night. Bills, Dolphins. Thursday night shit show. Hopefully y'all are tuned in. Hopefully y'all are ready to have a hell of a time. For more Raiders analysis and the latest news and rumors going on around the silver and black, make sure you click that subscribe button. Make sure you got those notifications turned on. And Justin O.G. Bang! You know what? We're going to put 10 minutes on the clock. We're going to put 10 minutes on the clock. Every 50 we get, 5 minutes. Every hundo we get, put another 10 minutes on the clock. Justin G. What's up, my man? Justin G's down to have a good time. I'm going to add Justin G here. He is now, that's 2 bangs. 2 for Justin G for the September Bang race, which I know a lot of people have been asking me about our September Bang race. I'm just being honest because Jeremy went live last Thursday, and I haven't been able to catch up due to the wedding and us being in North Carolina. I'm going to go through and I'll look at all the Bang race. That way we have the updated numbers. But Justin G, you got to be up there tied right now, I think, for our September Bang lead, because it's been a lot of people chipping in this month. It's been a close race. Justin G, cheers to you. If you want a shout out here on the Raiders Report, I want y'all to spam Justin G down below. I also have a dinner with my cousin who I haven't seen in a long time, but I'm really excited for my dinner with my cousin Erica because I always tell people, I started the podcast in my attic, and then I moved to Boston. And my cousin Erica allowed me to move to Boston to try to find a job. And where I started podcasting, like legitimately podcasting every day, was in an attic. Not even an attic. It was a closet in an attic because it was the quietest place in Erica's house. She had a dog and she was living with her husband at the time. Like, I can't wait to see her today. It's going to be a good time. Might be a little bit litty.
Rebel, I think that answers your question.
What?
You said, is she taken?
Right now, yes.
What? Why did you say it like that?
She's taken.
But
it's like your current wife.
Yeah. So, Rebel, the door's still open. Bobby, can I get a...
Oh, yeah. Let's get some questions going here. I see Mr. Champion, Jake Serb, Raider Rudy, Can't Get Right, Bobby Hernandez, Rebel Montana, Gilbert Moreno, Gus. Just chug, baby. I'll tell you this right now. That woke me up. That woke me up a little bit. It's almost like when you just get like a little bit of a jolt. Get it rocking here. You love to see it. Bro, I'll tell you this. K'Lavon Chaisson hurt again. I don't know if he's playing this week. He missed practice. Did you win in your fantasy leagues? Because I lost to Alex.
So one of them I
lost to Alex this week.
One of them I got hoed,
Brutal.
and it's because of Kyle Shanahan and the cheating 49ers. Because I had Christian McCaffrey on my team. They knew he was injured Friday. I don't care all the backtracking that Kyle Shanahan does. They knew McCaffrey was going to be out Friday. They told Jordan Mason that he was going to start. They didn't announce it until an hour before game time on Monday, basically making it where I had no option in my fantasy football league.
Bro, that's brutal.
I was up by 30, and the guy that I was playing against had Debo and Garrett Wilson. He was able to beat me by 2 points.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you have a running back, you're good. Who did you start instead? Anyone?
Somebody had already, and I told you, somebody had already picked up the backup for the 49ers. So the only option I could pick up was, and somebody picked up Kyle Juszczyk just to be an a-hole to me.
Sure.
So I picked up Isaac Garindo, their third running back, thinking maybe he gets something.
He's hurt, though, isn't he?
He was on the, like.
Oh,
he was on the roster.
I think he's got a bad hammy. I hear you. I had the same thing happen to me. I had McCaffrey in both of my leagues. Now, again, Alex had such a big lead on me that I was able to pick up the backup running back for the Niners, and I still ended up getting a loss, so that definitely stinks. But I won in my family league. Luckily, was able to get a dub in my family league. Did you guys win or lose in your fantasy football leagues? We're staying live here. Can we get the countdown timer? That way people know. So here's the deal I made, and Justin G took advantage of it. I said, every hundo we get, I'll stay live for another 10 minutes. Every 50 we get, we're going to add another 5 on that bad boy. The objective here is to not leave the live show. I'm allowed to hang out for another 2 hours. I'm allowed to hang out here at work for 2 hours. Now, they're saying that they need the studio here, but I know how Chat Sports works. If we can keep on answering questions, give them a reason to not kick us out of here, that would be great. I would say probably 7 minutes left. 7 minutes left. What up, Sal? I see you down there. Thugador. I'll get to that one in a sec here. J-Mo, I'm scared we got a McDaniel season again. I truly don't understand why we signed Getsy and Cody Whitehair. Truly pathetic and shit. I think you signed Cody Whitehair because you have Luke Getsy. And to be honest, and I said it when the Raiders... So I got a text message the night that, what's his name? Oh, my God. Cliff Kingsbury. I got a text message the night before all the news came out from Cliff Kingsbury that he ended up, wasn't going to be the offensive coordinator. And then the next day happened, all the news ended up coming out. And I can remember going up on that show being like, man, I don't know what the Raiders are going to do. You could look at a few different options out there. And then they ended up hiring, Luke Getsy right away. It kind of seemed like a bad bounce back. Like you're in a relationship that you're really, really excited about, and then all of a sudden they leave you, and you don't want to be single, so you just jump into the next thing that comes available. That's kind of what I think happened with Getsy. I also know that Devontae was a big supporter of Getsy from their time back in Green Bay, but, the Getsy offense has been pretty bad. And again, it's only 1 week, and I want to see how they look next week against the Ravens, and you got to continue to see how it goes. But if the offense plays the way that it did every single week like that, you're not winning many games this season. Let's go to my man Thug to Door Strawberry. What's up, brother? Do you think we can still make the playoffs if we start 0-2? Last game was frustrating. Tired of losing to teams we're better than. I won in fantasy. Well, the good news is you won in fantasy. Let me look up playoff chances 0-2 because I know what it is. Okay. From 1990 to 2022, 265 teams started 0-2. 30 of those teams have made the playoffs. So that's about 11%. 11%. So if the Raiders go 0-2, they still have 11% chance to make the playoffs. Now, obviously, every situation is different. Every team is different. Every schedule is different. But, I mean, the Ravens are a team that I did not expect this team to beat. What's funny, though, is, and this is how I'm really going to know if Madden is, like, maddening in all the right ways. The Raiders lost to the Chargers in our Madden season. The Raiders beat the Ravens in our Madden season. All I'm telling you this, if that's a dub this week, all hail Madden is where I'm going in multiple ways. Multiple ways. The game was frustrating, though. You know what I mean? Like, there was so many things that I wish that we could have actually seen done a little bit differently. But the good news is that defense is legit. Like, there should be no concerns about the Raiders defense. That is a legit flipping defense. And if you don't turn the ball over 3 times, if you don't go for it and not get it on 4th down and 1, again, that play call, though, I want to say on the 4th down and 1 run, they literally tried to run it behind Cody Whitehair. He got blown up. So, like, you could look at it a few different ways. I'm still going to have hope, though. Ernie, what's up, man? Very early, but wanted your take on Tannehill. No. I've talked about Tannehill probably about 10 to 20 times this offseason. I don't have any interest in signing Tannehill. I've heard other people talk about it, but it's going to require you to pay him more than what you'd pay Minshew. So, like, one, if we're going to use our salary cap space in that way, I'd rather you go out and get players that, to me, are actually going to really, truly help us, like, win more football games. Tannehill, even if he's better than Minshew, he's that much better than Gardner Minshew. Like, he wasn't good last season. I don't think that he's been all that reliable for quite some time. And then on top of that, he's got to learn a brand new offense, a brand new scheme. And Getsy's, what I'm concerned about is I don't know if the quarterback matters. What I'm really scared about is if your offensive coordinator is calling shit plays like he's calling shit plays, does it actually matter? I don't quite understand. Let's go to John Rodriguez. Why the F, Mitch, are you starting early? I started early because the Raiders signed K'Lavon Chaisson. I know that some of y'all are here a little bit earlier wondering why I'm live. I'm live because the Raiders signed K'Lavon Chaisson, and the show's going to end in 2 minutes and 25 seconds. But I made a deal because other people are trying to get into the studio here at Chat Sports. I said this, every 50, we're adding 5 more minutes to that clock. Every hundo, we're adding 10 more minutes to that clock, and I'm doing a beer bong here. I'm trying to stay live. I'm trying to stay here doing this. This is what I want to do. But if it's not going to happen, it's all good. At least just send in those hashtag Raiders to get some questions going. Oh, my God. I mean, first off, I hope you're all right. I'm really sad that happened. That really, really sucks. I was actually waiting for a joke. I'm not going to lie. Like, Jake Serb, usually when he sends something in, I'm like, is there a joke coming here? I think that this is honest. Bro, I hope you're all right,
I think you're trolling.
You think he's trolling?
No, I think you're trolling.
Me? In what regard?
You don't get it.
Oh. I do get it. That went way over my head. You know, Jake, hang on a second here. The fact that I haven't eaten anything today, today's show could get wild, and that's why I said I was a little bit nervous. Cheers to you. Let's go to the next one. I'm just going to do it right from here. Live and up close. Jeremy's like, no, you don't want to do that. All right, let's back it up here. Mr. Serb. Mr. Serb.
One shot.
One shot. Where was Jordan Meredith the whole game? Well, he's on the practice squad, so. Or no, Meredith. You know what? That's a good question. I hate the fact that I have to look this up right now. I'm actually upset with myself that I have to look this up. I don't know. Yeah, Meredith's the backup right guard still. Jesus Christ, Mitch, get it together. I'll say this. I would have rather Meredith start, but I still think that, like, Thayer's better at guard. I still think that I'd rather move Parham around. I still think Andres Pete's better. Meredith played well in the preseason and was impressive, and I would even consider starting Meredith over Cody Whitehair, but not to start over the other guys that we've already talked about. We should trade for Mac Jones. Why? Why should we trade for Mac Jones, Cameron? Like, is Mac Jones better than Gardner Minshew? Is he better than Aiden O'Connell? The answer is maybe. The answer is maybe. He might be. I don't know. But my point is, the only way I'm trading for a quarterback, the only way I'm going out and signing a quarterback is if I can confidently say, without a doubt in my mind, that guy's better than the guys that we already have. Is Mac Jones, who does not know the Luke Getsy offense, doesn't know any of the players here on this team, is he better than Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, who've been working with the team the entire offseason? I don't think that he is. And if you were going to trade for Mac Jones, real talk, it probably would have happened when you had Josh McDaniels, because McDaniels made Mac Jones a Pro Bowler. So here's my question. Is Mac Jones better than Gardner Minshew, and is he better than Aiden O'Connell? Because you got to be better than both, not just one. Is he better than both? Why for yes and for no? Let's go to Justin G. Bro, I'll tell you this right now, Justin. You're firing me up right now. Firing me up right now, Justin. If y'all don't spam Justin G, y'all get the hell out of here, man. You know what? I did say I'd give you a bang. Justin G! Bang! There's not a 0% chance that I don't lose my voice. What up, Mitch and Chugs? I'm listening to y'all at work. Keep up the great show. Evo Leo? Where Evo Leo? Do you work at Walmart? I'm just kidding. No, Evo Leo, thanks, man, for tuning into the show. Like, believe it or not, when people tune in, they watch it, we have a good time here. It does really, really, truly mean a lot to me. And the amount of people that we were able to meet out at North Carolina that said the exact same thing. This is one of those jobs that, you know, a lot of times you hear from the negative people. And to get the reinsurance that you're doing the right things, even after a tough game up against the Chargers. Seriously, dude, I appreciate that. Oh, shit. Jedi Spidey! Bang! Chug it up. Thanks for the awesome show. In North Carolina, I'm the one with the Raiders bell.
Hell yeah.
Okay. See, like, and this is what I mean by you hang out with people all the time on air. You know what I mean? Like, Jedi Spidey, I've seen your name a bunch. Obviously, being able to, like, see you in person now and, like, put a name to that, put a face to that name does mean a lot. Jedi Spidey, back me up on this. The North Carolina Raiders event, I'm guessing you live somewhere in that area. How many people did you expect to show up? And then compared to how many people showed up? I mean, I actually was getting worried we were going to hit the max capacity in there.
You showed up. The Raiders, unfortunately, didn't show out.
Yeah, they don't show out very often. But you know what? When they do, there's going to be a time when I do this show. There's going to be a time. Remember this conversation that we're having right now. To the 480 diehard Raider fans that are still rocking with us. There's going to be a time where the Raiders will be good. Not even good. Where they will be a legit football team. It might be 5 years. Might be 10 years.
Mitch, what are you going to do when the Raiders win the Super Bowl?
Oh, dude. If the Raiders win the Super Bowl, I'm not leaving until I physically can't stand anymore. There's going to come a time where it's like, I can't do it anymore. The amount of celebration that is going to go down, it's going to be shocking for a lot of people, especially if it's the first time you ever watch the show.
Face tat?
That's not going to happen. unless 6 small dwarves rob me, and I'm not going to be happy about it. But
Yep.
Jedi Spidey, shout out to you, man. I'm giving shout outs to everybody spamming Jedi because that dude's a legend right there. Cameron.
Yes. All day. Let me know in the chat. If
Do you think he's better?
If the Raiders win the Super Bowl, I'll do blank. What are you doing? Taino says, I'll cry and stay up celebrating until my body gives out. Tears of joy.
Oh.
So many tears of joy. It's my team, and I want a face now.
It's going to be disgusting
OJ,
how I look.
OJ to Juice Man says, neck Raider tattoo. It's happening. Raider Prime says, I'm doing the face tat.
Face tat's insane. Face tat is kind of wild. I'm not
Ron
gonna lie.
Raspberry spamming Jedi. Richard Renz. Richard spamming Jedi. I'm glad to see that you made it back. Okay. You never texted me that he made it back.
He texted me.
Oh, I told him to text me.
See, Richie's on. For Richie to send a new text message, that's tough.
Yeah.
Like if it's not, like when my dad calls, he's so blind. And how many of y'all's dads do this? He's so blind. Like if your name in his phone would probably just be JJJJJ CCCCCC because he can't see. It won't see Jeremy Chugs. Like when I call him, it's just a bunch of M's.
Well, that's because it's your.
It's not because of me. I know it's the whole my main man Mitch thing, but it's also he's that blind. So when he's like, how many J names do I know? It's got to be one of these, and he's answering the phone. That's how it goes.
Evo Leo.
Can I? You guys are gonna get mad at me. Can I go pee real quick?
Not until the show ends, buddy.
All right. Walmart, a tough job, man. I'm a diesel mechanic. That's a really tough job. What people don't understand is working on cars anymore. It's not even a mechanic. You got to be able to like work with computers. Like I can remember growing up, my dad was able to like fix cars and stuff. I can actually remember as a kid, I watched my dad. I think it's called siphon gas. It's called something like that, where you suck gas out of our car, or was it lawnmower? It was either one. Cut the tube, suck the gas, put it in his mouth to then spit it in another tube to be able to fill up that machine. Dad, I know you're watching right now.
You know what that is, right?
What?
So you start sucking, so there's a suction and there's a flow of liquid, and then once it's there, then you put it in something else, and then the liquid starts flowing out.
Is it called siphoning gas?
Yes.
I think it's called siphoning. I remember he did that one time. Mind blown. Like for me, I'm never doing that. You know what I mean? Like there's never going to be a part in my life where I'm doing some shit like that. Bro, it's siphon. Am I saying it right? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, man. All right, let me just send a quick message here.
Richard says it's called stupidity.
You know what, big guy? You're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong.
Evil Mitch. Super Bowl tat if we win. Mitch, you getting one as well.
Super Bowl tat if we win? I'm down for that. Like, I'm going to get Allegiant Stadium on the back of my calf. And then the back of my thigh is going to be like the skyline to Las Vegas, like the pyramid or something like that. If they win the Super Bowl, though, you got to go out. You got to go all out, man. No doubt about it. You got to go absolutely positively all out. Raider Tone, trade for Jonathan Allen or Deron Payne from the Commanders. They drafted Jerzon Newton, and Allen is in his final year of his contract. Our run D will be top 5 for sure. Again, like I don't think our run defense played bad against the Chargers. So,
but also this doesn't. The thing is, if you trade for, you're not going to trade for Deron Payne because they just gave him a contract last year. If you trade for Jonathan Allen, the whole point is he wants a brand new contract.
Yeah.
So then you're not fixing a problem. You're just making a strength a bigger strength,
Correct.
And you still have the same problem. You're back to square one, but you don't have any money to pay a quarterback.
Yeah, I hear you. And I see this tweet right now from Sanjeep that says, the Raiders' run defense was really solid against the Chargers. The Chargers had 4 carries that went for 129 yards. So I was saying like an hour and a half ago, I was like, I feel like the Chargers didn't really do anything offensively, and then they had a few really big pop plays. They had 4 carries for 129 yards. The other 23 carries went for a combined 47 yards. Like, I think when you saw a lot of those pop plays, it was because they were tired. I mean, the offense didn't move the football. To me, the defense, I think we're good on defense, guys. Like, I really, really, truly do. Now, if you want to add a few, like an edge, you need to add another defensive end. That I'm on board with. One player that I said I wouldn't mind the idea of putting him as an edge is Amari Gaynor, simply because Gaynor played a little edge at times at North Carolina. Again, it's a little bit different, but his size, he showed a lot in the preseason. Again, it's more of just of a depth thing. Let him pin his ears back, go out there, be an athlete. Let's go to Armin. Do you think there's a chance we trade for Russell Wilson since he's a backup for the Steelers? Just the thought I had. He's only a backup right now because he's injured. Like, he's not a backup because he's healthy. He's backed up. I want to say it was a calf injury, Chugs, where I think it was a calf injury, right? I think he was like pushing a sled or something like that, like 6 weeks ago, and it's just kind of lingered around. And
but the real question is, will the Steelers be willing to trade him? Because the only way that happens is if at the trade deadline they're undefeated with Justin Fields.
Correct. And I mean, if you're Pittsburgh, though, here's the other part with the Raiders, though. You had an opportunity to sign him as a free agent at $1.2 million. I mean, that's a video we made in January, and then it ends up coming out that when you look at his contract, it's $1.2 million. You had the opportunity to sign him for $1.2 million. If you don't want to sign a QB of Russell Wilson's stature at $1.2 million, why are you now going to trade for him? Like, I don't think that quarterback here is going to be easily solved at this point. It's not. Like, is Russell Wilson better than Gardner Minshew, and is he better than Aiden O'Connell? Yeah. When he's healthy, I'm not afraid to say it. Like, to me, he is better. But at the same time, the Raiders already kind of told you what they do and they do not want to do, and I don't think that they want to go out and get Russell Wilson at this point here. I don't. Jersey Boy Greaser, Getsy was a panic hire. Should have gave Kingsbury that 3-year deal that he wanted. I'm not going to disagree with you, man. I think when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of certain things, the fact that Kingsbury wanted the third, the Raiders were only willing to offer him a second. But I'm just telling you right now, that wasn't the only thing that happened. Like, it wasn't as simple as just the second and third year deal. And this is one of those things where, you got to look at rumors. I do think rumors are important. I hate when people say, oh, rumors are clickbait. Rumors aren't clickbait. Rumors are clickbait if you are afraid to use your brain. Rumors, though, can be really good if you follow the tea leaves and see how it happens. Cliff Kingsbury leaves the Raiders after not getting the job. I think at that point, now looking at how the entire offseason went, I think Cliff Kingsbury wanted to work with a quarterback that he thought was going to be a really, really good NFL QB. As soon as he found out from extra information that it was going to be super difficult to trade up and go get a guy, he was like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. So I don't think it was just the 2 to 3 year thing. I think it was also the Commanders weren't going to trade out of it. Patriots weren't going to trade out of it. We talked about it a lot, but deep down, the people that knew did truly know that it just never was going to happen. Frankie, how are you feeling going into the next game at Baltimore? I don't know how I'm feeling, man. We can't go through another season of watching 3-yard passes. I know that the Ravens are going to be a tough team, right? And I think when you start your season out on the road in back-to-back games, a lot of people are going to hit that panic button. But you also got to remember, the Panthers is a winnable game. The Browns is a winnable game. The Broncos is a game, quite frankly, I think we are going to win. And if the Raiders, if I told you right now, the Raiders were 3-2 after 5 weeks of football, we're not hitting the panic button as crazy as what we are. What usually happens in week 1 is people freak out because they think that's going to be the result of every single week. And I was frustrated too. We put our heart and soul, our lives into this freaking thing. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. But I'm not ready to just say we're just the worst team in the NFL. We're not a great team, but we can be a good team if we start figuring it out here just a little bit more. Now, we still got 450 people here watching the show. 90 seconds until this show ends. Here are the deals to keep it going. $100 super chat. We put 10 more minutes back on the clock. We continue to answer questions here, and I do a beer bong. If you send in a 50, it still counts as a bang. We add 5 more minutes, and we're going to do a beer cheers here. The reason why I'm doing this is simply because here at Chat Sports, we have limited studio space. Other people are trying to get in, and the only way that I can prevent them for walking through that door is if we keep this shit show continuously rocking here on the Raiders Report. Buddy Bear, I see you down there. PSN, I see you right there. Jake Serb, what up, Raider? Rudy, I don't know if anybody's going to do it. I don't know if anybody's going to bang right now, but I do know this. I have done this show for a long time, and when that countdown clock starts ticking down.
Deadlines make deals.
When that countdown clock starts going down.
You almost said something else.
I really did. The problem is I haven't eaten anything today. I went for a run this morning, which I'm very, very proud of. And I told myself I'm not going to eat because I got dinner with my cousin Erica here in a little bit.
Where are y'all going to dinner?
The Mexican? That's actually the name.
Oh.
No, it's actually called The Mexican. I go, Alex, pick out a restaurant. She goes, I heard this place is really good. And I'm like, are you playing with me right now? Is this a test?
I don't want to eat at your parents' house again.
Jedi! Bang! Come on, man! You can't tell me that wasn't electric. You can't tell me that wasn't electric. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you don't have any fingers. You better spam Jedi Spidey down below. Get your toes out. Get something else that can touch a keyboard. Jedi Spivey, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now? Bro, I'll tell you what right now, that fired me up. That fired me up one time. Yo, what's funny about that is, and I guarantee you Jedi the entire time was just sitting there.
He was just waiting.
Click. What's going to be scary is if we get down to like 30 seconds again and then two people do it. Because then this is going to get wild. If two people do it next time, that's going to be wild. If you want to shout out here on the Raiders Report, we got to show some love here to Jedi Spivey. We got J. Mon Raider, Carlos Martin Rivera. What up, Yoda Jenkins? Yoda, I swear to you on my grandfather's grave, okay? I don't do that often. Swear to you on my grandfather's grave. I want to say I was in a Wawa in Pennsylvania. Now, again, that's not the part that I'm swearing on. What I'm swearing on is I saw a donut that was a yellow donut with a smiley face on it. I almost took a picture of it, and I was like, I was like, can I send this to Yoda? Like, how would I send him a picture to see this? But I'm sitting there, and Wawa, for those of you that don't know, like in Pennsylvania, Wawa is like a really big deal. It's kind of like how people treat Buc-ee's down here is how I would explain it. And it's also was like Sub Week. Sub Week was just like you can get really, really cheap subs like for like $6, like an actual like 10-inch sub. Bro, I saw this donut and I almost bought it just to be able to take a picture with it and to send it to Yoda.
Did you take a picture with it?
Huh?
Did you take a picture of it?
I know. I decided that I wasn't going to take a picture with the donut. But the moral of the story is I did think
you almost did.
Well, no, I thought of Yoda Jenkins right away. I thought of Yoda Jenkins. I can't say what happened afterwards.
There's this cool thing, and I almost took a picture of it.
So something crazy happened right after it with one of my buddies in the wedding party that I'm trying to figure out a way to tell the story without fully telling the story. I'm just being honest. Like,
yeah.
Real talk, though, Yoda. I saw the donut, and I'm like, yo, that's literally Yoda Jenkins right now. I almost shook its hand. Actually, I don't know if can you shake a donut's hand?
Saul Raider.
Can you shake a donut's hand?
No, donuts don't have hands. They only have fins.
They only have what?
They only have fins.
Fin?
Yeah, they have fins.
Fin.
Mm-hmm.
F-I-N.
Yeah, they have fins.
Fin.
Yep, Saul Raider. It was my first game at SoFi, and it sucked.
I'm missing
No air conditioning, and our Raiders' offense was embarrassing.
Dude, I'm sorry that was your first game, but I will also say this. SoFi Stadium is a nice stadium. I think it looks weird on the outside. You remember we were talking about the woman that made us that rum cake from the Charles Woodson whiskey?
Yeah.
She tweeted out the other day, she's like, this just looks like the worst Dorito I've ever seen. And I completely agree. Cecile. or Lucio. Either way, I'm not going to lie. I've had like 4 beers, and since I haven't eaten, I feel pretty good. She like tweeted out, she was like, oh, it looks like a Dorito chip. And I'm like, it kind of does. But being able to go out there for like your first game, being out at SoFi, that's a cool game day experience. A lot of Raider fans taking over a stadium. I know it didn't go the way you wanted it to, but that's a cool game day experience. Let's go to ED. Amazing. We'll either be drafting first or second in the 2025 NFL draft. See, I don't think that. I think our defense is way too talented to be either first or second. And again, it's easy to hit the panic button, but think about how many things went bad for the Raiders and you were still in a game. Like, think about how many things went bad. And there's a lot of what ifs, but sometimes that's how the NFL is. What if Gardner Minshew doesn't throw the ball completely behind the line of scrimmage and a guy picks it up and gets a field goal? What happens if Zamir White doesn't fumble? What happens if the Raiders go for it on 4th and 1? What happens if Daniel Carlson doesn't miss a field goal? What happens if the Raiders convert a 4th and 1 earlier in the game? Like, there's so many what ifs. The fact that this game was still as close as what it was. I think the other part you got to think about is continuity, chemistry. You're still learning a brand new offense. Colton Miller hasn't been healthy for quite some time. He finally got out there and got a game in. Devontae Adams missed about 2 weeks due to his baby boy being born. Obviously, you're not going to hold that against him, but like there's sometimes like little things that you don't really realize that are going on that are actually going on. I'm going to be patient with the Raiders because that felt like a game in the first half they dominated. They got unlucky. Weird things happened, and they lost. And sometimes that's going to happen in the NFL. Wasn't pretty, but I don't think they're first or second round bad in the NFL. Let's go to my man Noah Santana. If we win the Super Bowl, I don't know what I would do. I cried when I thought we were getting Jaden Daniels. I mean, legitimately, it's one of those things where, like, until it happens, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I remember when I was sitting up here on this stream, and I'm talking about Amir Abdullah getting signed, and then all of a sudden it was Raiders just traded for Devontae Adams. You know, like, when something like that happens, you don't know how you're going to react. It's just like, you know, you think about how your wedding day is going to be. You think about how the birth of your first child's going to be. You think about, I don't know, any, like, monumental moment in your life. Like, I can remember how much I planned for when I was going to propose to Alex and how different it actually went. Until it actually happens, like, you don't know.
Did you see this?
What?
With Christian McCaffrey, the news that just came out?
Uh-oh, no.
Apparently, Christian McCaffrey has Achilles tendonitis.
Yikes.
And it could take a few months to heal.
What? Bro, you might as well just piss away my fantasy season then. I took him. For whatever reason, I was the number 2 overall pick in a lot of drafts this year. And I got McCaffrey quite a bit. That's unbelievable. Achilles tendonitis.
It's from a aggregator account. So I'm sending it to Chase right now to see if it has any legs.
I mean, it sounds like McCaffrey doesn't have any legs.
That is true.
Jesus. The Madden curse from Rebel Montana. Rebel, you're not wrong, dude.
Literally on Twitter, the first reply is that.
Is that?
It says the Madden curse.
That's what I love about social media, man. Social media, people are quick. People are flipping quick, dude. No doubt about it.
I'm asking our 49ers host right now, Chase Sr., if it's legit.
2 minutes left here on the Raiders Report. And you guys, the deals are this. You want to extend the show 5 minutes? $50 super chat. Do a cheers. Shout out to you.
Oh,
you want to extend it 10 minutes. And I got to give a shout out here to Jedi Spidey. He's done his part. Jedi Spidey has done his part. So if we get an alley-oop, the alley-oop here on the Raiders Report is if somebody sends in a 50, okay? You're coming down the lane. You throw one up. If somebody else throws down another 50, it's going to be a bang. I'm doing a beer bong, and we're going to extend the show another 10 minutes. I don't know how this is going to go because the last time that it happened, shit was electric. I mean, the shit was absolutely, positively electric.
Yeah, my fantasy season's effed.
Spidey, you got what? 2 bangs today, Spidey? Justin G kept this party going. I got a deal. I'm just saying, I'm not going to offer the deal yet. I'm going to save it. I don't know if the alley-oop's going to happen. I don't know if the bang's going to happen. If it does, the deal that I'm going to present is going to blow some minds. It involves a boot. Dude, I don't know what we're going to get into today, but this is exactly, and I mean exactly, how I didn't know how today's show was going to go, quite frankly. I mean, we would technically still be live. We would be live right now. We would be live right now, technically. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. We'd be live right now. Now, if this does not happen, it's all good. We're going to be live on Thursday for Dolphins, Bills. If you're looking for Raiders videos all season long, make sure you click that subscribe button. Today, we decided to go live a little bit early for K'Lavon Chaisson. I said yesterday, I made the video yesterday. I said it today, though. If any breaking news happens around the Raiders signing a defensive end, I would go live, and I can't always expect that commitment to excellence is going to happen right away. But, like, I promise you this. When I do this show, I care so much about all of y'all where I always say, like, not that I don't care about players, but I just care about, like, the fan base so much. So when shit like this happens, I do. Like, I keep my word. Oh! Can't get right! Bang! But wait! Jedi Spivey, not once, not twice! Bang! Let's go! 20 more minutes on the clock. 20 more minutes on the clock. So here's going to be my deal. Here's going to be my deal. It's going to get weird, but we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. We are 3 bangs away from a boot. Okay? Either, real talk, either we get 3 bangs, or if Jedi Spivey, if Jedi Spidey hits the gong today, I'm doing a boot. Okay? Jedi, I'm doing a boot. And we're going to add the time. Though, Chugs, I got to pee soon. Like, I'm just being honest with you. I got to take a leak. We said once the show ends, I'm getting ready to be, I don't know if it's Scary Movie 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5. I'm worried the next time I point, it's going to come out of my fingernail. Which Scary Movie is that? You guys know what I'm talking about? Also, this Mexican food I'm about to eat, it's going to change my life. It's going to absolutely change my life. Here's the thing, though. Jedi Spidey showed up. Can't Get Right showed up. Justin G showed up. If y'all aren't sending in some hashtag Raiders questions, go somewhere else.
Jedi Spidey, the gong is whenever you bang 5 times in one show. So you're 2 bangs away from us hitting the gong. Richard says Jedi. Yeah, get those questions in so we can have some more content to talk about on the show.
Oh, God. All right, Chugs. I'm not doing a shot clock. I don't have any fireball on tap. Don't have any fireball on tap. Let's get some questions loaded up here. I'm going to take a wicked pee. I'll be right back, ASAP Rocky. I'm going to fill up a boot, just in case. Just in case. Can't Get Right, Jedi Spidey. Chugs, when you're ready. When you're ready. Yo, also, shout out to my dad, which my dad's a real one, and probably one of the coolest things that I did this weekend, which I did a lot of cool shit. One of my best friends from college, the catcher that I had at college, he's a groomsman of my wedding. He got married. Shout out to Dave. And then my dad goes, I told him, I'm going to fly down to North Carolina after Philly. He's like, he looked at me. He's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, why would you fly when I could drive you? So my dad recently bought a convertible. I know. I told him not to. He did it anyway. He's like living his best life right now. Bought a nice little convertible, and he drove me from Philadelphia all the way down to North Carolina And the final 3 hours, the top was down. I'm sitting in the back seat, and I don't know how fast we were going. We were cruising, though. We made it to North Carolina way quicker than I thought. That's all I'm going to say. And we stopped like 2 or 3 times. We were cruising along, but it's going to be one of those core memories that I have for a very, very long time. So, Pops, shout out to you. He also pulled up to North Carolina. A lot of people showed love to my dad as well. Really, like, that type of shit means a lot to me. Believe me when I tell you that. No P.
Carlos, SoFi was full of Raider fans, and that stadium was really hot. They had a roof that didn't help, and they cut beer selling at halftime right ahead of me when I was next in line waiting for 30 minutes. That's brutal. Damn brutal right there. I mean, yeah, that's tough. Waiting in line for a beer and them cutting off right as you're the next guy that's shameful. That's shameful. Shame on them. But SoFi was blacked out. It was a ton of Raider fans there. From all accounts, it seemed like there was more Raider fans there than Chargers fans, if there are any. Rebel says I was in section 102 and it was humid. See, and it's weird because I got to see the weather for that time because, I mean, when you think of California, when you think of LA, especially in this time, I don't think of it being that hot. I mean, how hot was it on game day? Let me know in the chat because I hear a lot of people complaining about the weather at SoFi on game day. How hot was it? So I can verify whether or not 94 degrees, 101, 110. I see three different temperatures that are all very, very different. I see 94, 110, 101. Live Oak, I just don't seem to believe that. 103 was in Cali from Live Oak. Maybe. Azul says 69. Was it 69? 94 from Robert. What was it? Can we get a clear answer? I'm getting a lot of different 69, 94. Rebel says it was during a rare heat wave. 105 in Fresno. Yet in Dallas for basically 2 months out of the year, it's 110. So, I don't know. Let's see. I believe we have some more questions rolling in there. I see one from Armand. If AOC starts week 3 against the Panthers and leads us to the playoffs, do we keep AOC next season as our starter? Oh, that's tough because, I mean, I don't really see if AOC is not starting now, like, it would take a lot for him to be the starter. I think leading to the playoffs, that would be a start. It really also depends on how AOC. If the Raiders go to the playoffs with AOC or Gardner as a starter, but it's a defensive-led team, if they're winning games like 20-17, I don't think their job is safe. I think they actually have to play good enough. They have to, show out and show that they can be a starting caliber quarterback in this league. Because if I'm the Raiders and I make the playoffs and the quarterback play isn't good, that means, hey, what would have happened if we did have a good quarterback on our team? So even if they do make the playoffs, I think it also it heavily depends on how you make the playoffs. If you're a defensive-minded team and you're winning by, 3 points and you're winning 20-17, I think you still go ahead and draft a quarterback in the first round this year, whether that be Shador, Quinn Ewers, Cam Ward from Miami, a couple other guys out there. But I don't know. I don't think just getting there is enough. I think they're going to have to show up and show out, as AP would say. Mr. Awesome, DBs weren't tested at all. Can we trade for a proven cornerback? I mean, there's one on the free agency market right now, and Xavier Howard. I don't know what cornerback you would be able to trade for right now. There's not a ton of options at cornerback. I mean, the Saints, were shopping somewhat Marshawn Lattimore, but it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. Their second-round pick, Kool-Aid McKinstry, injured at the moment, and they looked good in week 1. But yeah, I don't really see any options there.
All right, so I found something that I think could be kind of dangerous. I'm not going to lie to y'all. We got 10 minutes left here on this stream. And so Jeremy and I, we had some old October beers that were kind of just hanging out in the back. So somebody who used to work here brought them in last year. And I'm pretty sure they're not good anymore because they look pretty flat. I'm not going to lie. They don't look like they're very good beers. Anyway, I got a boot here. It's some Oktoberfest beer. Reminder, if anybody hits the gong. Wow. Hang on. I don't have the gong.
Rookie mistake. Total rookie mistake.
I'll tell you this right now, not my best moment. Not my best moment. I didn't know if he was going to do it. Jedi Spidey! Come on, man. Come on, Jedi Spidey! Let's go! Bro, I'll tell you this right now. About an hour ago, I could have taken a nap. You know, when you stand up here on this show and you do it and you're just talking over and over again, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you get a little bit tired, and I'm not going to lie to y'all. I have not eaten anything today. Like, not even kidding, have not eaten anything today. I feel pretty damn good right now. Jedi Spidey, the fact that you were so awesome to hang out with this weekend, and then the fact that you come back and watch the Raiders report on the next day. Think about what we're doing right now. The Raiders signed K'Lavon Chaisson. We're just hanging out. We're having a good time. But people here that rock with the Raiders report are the type of people that I'm like, you know what? It's not about doing crazy shit for me and Chugs. Like, don't get me wrong. These donations, we appreciate them. This is also where I tell each and every one of y'all, we don't see any of the super chat money. I don't keep any of the super chat money. We don't keep any of the Venmos. We put it back into the Raiders report, and I've been saying that for so long. When you see the studio that Jeremy and I are about to build, I mean, we're not going to build it or else it would never happen, right? But when you see the studio that we're about to build, man, and all the cool, crazy shit we're going to be able to do there next season, I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of awesome people that make content. Nobody's going to be able to compete with us. And I mean that in the most nice way possible. Like, when you see the studio we're about to do, it's going to blow your minds. We've been saving up for this. Hell, man, we've been saving. This is going to be more than a house, the recreation of the studio. It's going to be something really cool. We're going to be able to blow the roof off this joint, but it's because people like Jedi Spivey, and it's because like they do it for the love of the nation. I'm rambling. I'm also not really wanting to do this boot, but I'm going to do it for Jedi Spivey because that mother effer is a real one. And I want y'all to see, this boot is gross. I don't know exactly what it is, but this is some, I think it's the Oktoberfest beer. I know it's the Oktoberfest beer from last year, but I don't know if it's any good anymore. We're going to find out. As John Scheffler would say, and as I like to say, buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to get wild. Let's go to Hella Hi Javi. What's up, my man?
Why not trade for Sam Howell? I mean, does he move the needle? Does he move the needle with Sam Howell? Because, I mean, if you trade for a guy like him, You're giving up a draft pick, and it's kind of like the Cowboys did that with Trey Lance. And they traded a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance, and it looks like they got nothing for it. Like, nothing's going to happen with them. They just re-signed Dak Prescott to a 4-year deal. So they gave up, yes, it's only a 4th-round pick, but they gave it up for nothing. So if you trade for Sam Howell, realistically, does it make the Raiders that much more of a playoff contender with Sam Howell? I don't know. It's a very wishy-washy situation with that. So I personally would say no. You had your opportunity to get him this offseason, just like we said with Russ, just like we said with Justin Fields, just like we said with a lot of guys. Yep. You had the opportunity to do that in the offseason.
Sorry, guys. No, I had a burp. A lot of liquid in my stomach. That was a tough one to do. I actually told somebody the other day, like, doing a boot's one of those things that you got to practice. And even, like, Jeremy has said it to me where he's like, I don't do my times as well because Jeremy's been doing less boots, just around the show, which maybe not a bad thing. But it's one of those things, like, if you don't practice, it kind of kicks your ass. Like, and I encourage anybody out there, if you can drink responsibly, and that's how I should probably start that. If you can drink responsibly, go get a boot and see if you can hang with it. It's tough, dude. It's like getting, like, the wind knocked out of you sometimes. But I agree with Jeremy. I don't know if it moves the needle. Is Sam Howell better? I'll tell you this. I think Sam Howell would be interesting if you had a offensive coordinator that wasn't afraid to stretch the ball down the field. If you want Sam Howell to dink it and dunk it in a Luke Getsy offense, I don't think Sam Howell's a good fit with Luke Getsy.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to me. I'm not going to lie. Sir, one windmill asked another. Here's the thing. When I read his questions now, I'm never going to be able to look at them honestly. What? Bro.
Dude.
What is that? Bro. I'm not going to lie. I think we lost lights.
Yeah.
This is kind of
in the dark. Ooh.
That's just.
Just go ahead and hit the light on behind you. Oh, wait, no. I think we might be good now.
Are we good? Are you effing with me?
Dude, I think
I'll tell you this right now. The stream's fine. We're just, our lights. So earlier in the day, our lights kicked power. And now all of a sudden, they kick back on. I think we're good. What was I saying? I don't even remember now. Sam Howell? Dude, I'm not going to lie. That was weird. Somebody said leave him off. All right, here's my deal. We're going to turn all the lights off in this piece. We're going to turn all the lights off in this piece, but we're one bang away. I don't know. Is he not out there? Well, Joey can also confirm these lights keep randomly turning off. All of them turned off multiple times. We need a better tech guy. I think that's what it is, man. Halloween show is on Thursday. What is that? Like, what's your favorite Halloween show? So Alex's favorite Halloween show, I would say, is Hocus Pocus. What's your favorite Halloween show, Chugs? Like, it's the month of, like, I'm talking like it's the month of October. You know what I mean? Like, the month of, like, I don't like scary movies. I'll be honest. I'm probably the worst person. If you want to watch a scary movie, do not watch it with me. But that's not what I thought. Dude, no, the lights keep turning on and off. Like, I am somebody, though, like, Halloween movies don't like. Christmas movies, though, I always, like, if it's December, I watch Christmas movies. What's your favorite Halloween movie?
Have you possibly considered the fact that Casper the Friendly Ghost is hanging out and is a big fan of the Raiders Report?
Goes to the Post.
Hey, Ghost of the Post.
That's what they say.
I'm not going to lie, though. I mean, when Joey came in here earlier, only half of them shut off.
The ghost of Derek Carr.
I'll tell you what, even the real-life Derek Carr sounds decent right now. And I hate saying that. Even you were like, I mean, when you play that well, you're like, what do you do, man? What do you do? Dude, that's funny. What do we got? Trizzy from John Borelli. What's up, man?
Trizzy.
Nightmare from Evil Mitch. What's Nightmare? What's your favorite movie? Halloween movie, Chugs. What do you got for me?
Halloween Town.
Halloween Town.
Yeah. It's a classic.
Eh.
Actually, yeah, that's true. Thursday night football, Texans-Jets on Halloween.
Dude, that's wild.
Oh, dude, they all turned off. I think it might be
So Joey can confirm. He was in here earlier, and like 4 random ones shut off.
I think it might be I don't know if it's a breaker issue or.
And then it was straight up the lights will flicker on and off. So my boss just walked in.
Did he?
Also, Sam's in here right now.
We thought it might have been the ghost of Derek Carr.
Did the lights turn on and off? Give me a yes or give me a no.
But, I mean,
Dude, shit was crazy.
They obviously did. We can go back and watch it.
I know, but he's got to go back and watch that then.
No, it was all of them.
Bro, it was all of them. It was kind of like somebody was just like,
Raphael, I don't even know what that means. He just says, Torta Pounders keep turning it off.
well, torta is turtle.
Turtle pound?
No, tortuga is turtle. Torta is like what's
like
a torta?
sandwich.
Yeah. Dude, actually, a torta right now would hit.
A turtle?
That's actually hilarious.
I totally hit a tortoise
Dude, a
right
torta sounds unbelievable.
now. I like the
Every single one, multiple flickers.
I like the Milanesa torta with the fried steak in it. You know what I'm talking about? The Milanesa?
Now, see, now I don't know what to believe. They're saying torta is Latina. See, I thought a torta was a sandwich, dude. Well, no, I have 100% gone to a Mexican restaurant and ordered a torta.
Said torta was a turtle.
Well, no, that's tortuga. Again, guys, my Spanish is not sharp. My Spanish is as sharp as a brand new pencil.
My Spanish isn't L sharp.
L sharp. The Sharp, eh? Any plans to come to Oregon? I own some cool Raider memorabilia that I would love to show you guys at some point in the future. I don't know if we'll ever do, again, like I'll always say this, if anybody wants us to come to a city near them, talk to us. It does cost money, and we just got to be able to still, it's the honest conversation of we're still trying to run a business. Obviously, we still like to be able to come out there and have a good time. I would love to be able to see it. I know for me personally, one of the states that I really, really want to go to, Alex and I really want to go to, is Oregon. So I would like to do that before I have kids, maybe for obvious reasons. But
in the next 2 years.
That's not going to. 8 years, man. 8 years. 8-year window.
Like from here to the next 8 years?
Yep. 8-year window.
8-year window means you're going to have kids in the next 8 years?
No, cannot physically have children in the next 8 years.
Oh, you won't have kids.
Yep. Now, so you guys are stuck with me for a little while.
Mitch, will your shooters be working at that age?
You know, I like to believe I'm like Steph Curry. I'm still going to be shooting at 38. Still going to be shooting at 38. You're always shooting.
You'll be 40 in 8 years.
Not quite. Close.
You're 32 now.
I'm 31.
Oh.
I'm going to be 32. 40th birthday. I get to have sex for the first time. Let's go. Nah, dude, I hope I get to go out to Oregon. So, obviously, you're out in Oregon. Where are you guys watching from right now?
All of them.
Where are you watching
one.
from right now? I'm not kidding you.
Every single one.
It was blacked out in here. It's kind of incredible,
It looked
quite
like
frankly.
this. It looked like this.
Yeah, it did. Oh, see, now they turned back on.
That's what I
I'll
said.
tell you this right now. Never seen
And
anything
I got
like
a
it.
look of disapproval and just what a dumbass.
Phoenix.
If it turns out to be the breaker,
Matt Reyes from New Mexico, the Bay Area from Carlos D'Angelo from Cali, Durham, North Carolina from Robert. Robert, you better have been
it's like
there.
one of those things where it's like somebody plugged in a
Bloomington
toaster.
from Can't Get Right, Jaime from Phoenix.
Somebody plugged in a toaster and the breaker was just too much electricity. Tej with his nacho machine.
I mean, potentially. I mean, Chat Sports at one time did have a cotton candy maker. We did have a cotton candy maker. Riverdance Sideville from the big guy. That's wild. Brian, Idaho. I see you. Austin from Brad.
Idaho.
Justin from Washington.
Brad from Austin. How are we feeling about that
Shellacking.
UT Michigan game?
They look good. I'll tell you this right now. Quinn's looked really damn good.
Actually,
He still shows some signs of inconsistency, but he's looked pretty damn good.
we do have Sam in the building. Sam, can I get your thoughts? I know Michigan, didn't play their best against Texas, but your alma mater, Oklahoma, has to play Texas later on in the year. Are we nervous for that game?
They're going to get clobbered.
You think?
Oklahoma's going to get clobbered?
No, we'll hang with them because OU Texas is OU Texas, but Oklahoma now has seven of their 8 receivers dealing with injuries. 7 of their top 8. One out
Wait,
for the
Oklahoma does?
Yes, one out for the season, one out for the next 2 months. An offensive lineman announced today out for the season. In our starting quarterbacks, 3 starts in his career.
Y'all stole
This is a great one. In our starting quarterbacks, 3 career starts at OU. He's had 4 different centers and 7 O-line variations.
Y'all stole one of our offensive linemen from North Texas.
Hatchet? No. What was his name?
Fabechi.
Yes, and he's been like one of our
Uguenu.
more consistent ones. He's like one of the only
good.
ones who's healthy and can play. So, OU Tennessee, bet Tennessee to cover. Thank you very much. That is
will
my
you
public
be
service
at
announcement.
the? Because I know you like to maybe go to a game here and then. Will you be at the Red River rivalry game?
I'm gonna try. It's expensive as shit. Oh, I'm supposed to be scared by Scotty Scheffler's trash talking, or
He's talking shit about
John Scheffler. I can't even care. That's more accurate. Yeah, I'm gonna try and go, but the cheapest ticket I've seen is like $500 already. So
Chef, what college do you root for? Huh? Tell me what college you root for, and then I'll tell you whether or not we give a shit about that college.
the Mean Green Fighting Machine, baby.
Yeah. What college do you root for, Chef?
That was the college version of I'll show you yours if you show me mine.
Rustin.
Rustin, I'm glad you're breathing.
Yeah. Still alive, but I'm barely breathing.
It was awesome being able to meet you both out here in North Carolina. Hey, man, you know what? I'll tell you this right now. I know this. Rustin and Rustin's girl, they're not afraid to have a good time.
They were shot.
There was,
it was the Little John song. Shot.
It was a tune of shot clock. I'm not kidding you. It was unlike anything I've ever seen before. There's drinking pants, and then there's whatever he's wearing. I mean, those things are size 46 waist. Like those are some pants, bro. Some serious pants on those drinking pants from Rustin Long. I mean, you made it a hell of a time. I'll tell you that. It's something that I'm going to remember. Alex goes, did anybody get a little bit maybe too drunk? And I go, I know this. There was one guy, he had a good time. Rustin, real talk, man. But that's like, I'll always say this, man. Like, when you hang out with like really, really good people, some days you're at your best, some days you're not. Some days you just have too much of a good time. And, you're sitting here up on the Raiders Report going, we really got this for 2 more minutes. Like, that's kind of wild. Rustin, had a great time. Seriously, real talk.
They had drinking overalls from Raphael.
Full.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a onesie.
They had their drinking rompers on.
It was a full-on onesie.
If you have a girlfriend or wife, you get that joke.
A good romper, though, goes a long way.
Danny looks good in a romper.
Jeremy's like, I don't know what to say to that.
Danny looks good in a romper, but I do know women don't love them as much because if you have to use the restroom with a romper on, you have to go completely naked. You have to take it all off. Because it's one thing.
Bro, imagine walking into a men's restroom.
Wearing a romper.
Wearing a romper at
And
like
you have to take
at like a bar or like the airport. You're like,
dude.
You're like, I'm trying to take a piss right now, and I got to get naked.
This reminds me
That's
of,
that's insane.
like in first, second, and third grade, everybody had kids at their school that did
Dropped
this
it all.
the way down at the urinal.
And you're just like, what are you doing?
What would you do if you just walked into the restroom here at the Chat Sports Studios and you walked in and somebody was pants at ankles at the urinal?
Text, pull up your pants. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Immediately. It's not even.
He just turns around and it's the vape guy from across the way.
Bro, that's weird.
Pants down, vape in.
That's hilarious, dude.
Oh
That's
my
actually
God.
unbelievable.
Dude. I've seen it very few times out in public, but like when you see somebody who pants all the way down at a urinal, you're like,
Again, if it's a kid, it's like, it is
You're like,
what
well,
it is. If
I'm
I'm a
saying not
dad
kid.
and my kid does it, I'm actually just going to be like, you know what?
cool.
I'm not gonna
I don't
worry
want you
about
to
it.
piss on your pants.
If you're above the age of 10, 10 is maybe 8. I don't have kids. 10 seems like a reasonable age.
Brett!
As soon as you're able to, well, he might not be.
Oh, well,
I'll
no,
say
yeah,
he's
Brett,
not-
he has all girls.
James.
James!
Brett's like, I still do that exact same thing. Jake Serb, I'll tell you what, it's getting close to closing time. If that hits double zeros, I'm down for a good closing time, man.
Sam,
Though,
would you like to sing it with us?
the way that this show has gone today, I don't know what is going to transpire. I don't know what we Yoda, I hear you. I hear you.
I'm glad you used the right big word on that one.
Which one?
Just sometimes when you use big words, you switch them.
Well, it's because I hear big words, and
I don't know
how
I don't know what's gonna perspire here for the rest of this show.
I mean, you hear big words, and you're like, this sounds like how this should go. It's like if somebody says doggy dog world. It's not doggy dog. It's dog eat dog.
It's half credit. Get half credit.
Well, no, you hear something, or it's
Something like that is just counter. It's just counter-constructive, you know? Doing something like that.
It's just counter-constructive.
oh man, you guys get it. You guys get it. Evil Mitch, 200 for what? What is that? I don't know what that means. Oh, I know this though.
We'll
might
be
have-
live on Thursday.
We will be live on Thursday.
Oh, Raphael, me and Danny are all on that side of TikTok. Are y'all on Demure TikTok?
I don't have TikTok.
Do you know what that is, Sam?
Yeah.
Very mindful, very cutesy, very demure.
All right, so if something's demure, it's cutesy. That's how it should-
It's like you're being like very like posh, very like
See,
you know.
what does that
Yeah.
mean?
You're classy.
Very posh.
Mitch is the opposite of demure.
I'm the opposite of classy.
Banging a gong, chugging a boot with 3 beers in it,
All right.
screaming into the camera.
Let's do a demure show.
Non-demure.
We're gonna drink tea.
Now wine.
Oh, we could do wine. Dude, wine would be bad though. A demure show. What would it require a demure show? But we still keep everything the exact same.
We can't. That's the opposite of demure.
So if we got wine,
Wine, it would be, you could only sip it. You couldn't chug it. No chugging.
Instead of like.
caviar.
Chugging's not caviar's very demure. Very mindful, very cutesy.
If I get
Very
any
demure.
type of can of caviar and some red or white wine,
Whatever you drink is with your pinky up.
Pinky up.
yikes.
We might need some Bellinis. Very demure. Very
Bellini?
demure.
That shit sounds good. All right, y'all. I think there is only one thing left to do, and then we're going to get the heck out of here.
Ah, yes.
I think there's only one thing left to do.
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the world.
Closing time.
Turn off all the lights on over every boy and every girl.
You did that on purpose.
Closing time. One last call for alcohol.
So finish your whiskey or beer.
Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay
Evil
here.
Mitch, one more deal?
'Cause I know
You got it.
who I wanna take me home.
I got 3
know
beers
who
left.
I wanna take me
I'm
home.
banging.
I know.
If we get 3
who I
bangs, it's a boot.
wanna take me home. Take me
Or just 1 bang at a time. That's my deal, man. If you can't tell, I'm hurting here a little bit, but
Very cute.
I will say this. If we did a show with the lights totally off for an entire show, that would be interesting, one.
Nah.
That would, Jeremy says
It
no.
would get old after 2 minutes.
You think?
You can't. You can.
All right, real quick,
You
turn
can
off
only
the
use
lights.
full screen graphics.
All right, real quick, turn off the lights. Will somebody bang in the dark? I'll tell you what, I think, like, honestly, it doesn't look that bad because, well, no, it actually doesn't look all that bad because I have the computer lights here. You definitely look way, way more dark. Next time that Jeremy and I are going to be live is
I look
going
like
to be,
Daryl.
what? Is going to be on Thursday when the Bills play the Miami Dolphins. We'll probably go live. Game starts at 8:15 p.m. So we'll probably go live, I would say, at like 6:45.
Do I do
Eastern
my
time.
Halloween show like this?
And Halloween show like this is kind of wild, man.
That is kind of spooky.
Are you afraid of the dark?
well,
I am, actually.
That'll
Also,
be-
Crazy
dude,
Show
we
did not
looked
watch
it up
it.
today. Texans Jets on Halloween night.
A Halloween show would be kind of wild.
You might have a Trizzy show.
Yeah, is that wait, that's on Thursday? Oh,
It's a
yeah,
Thursday night football.
that's a Trizzy show. Yeah, Chugs will go do his thing over on Texans.
I think we all have to dress up.
Every super chat is
I mean, I dressed up
If you
as
don't dress up on a Halloween show, not demure.
yeah, that might be the opposite.
Yeah.
I would say, what did I dress up as last year? Was the Joker's, what's her name?
Harley
Quinn. The year before that, I think, was Buddy Bear. So there's a trend, obviously, for my Halloween costumes here on the show. All right, y'all. From me, from Jeremy Chugs, I wanted to say appreciate all y'all that tuned in today. Real talk, man. Jedi, that was some wild, crazy shit. There's no doubt about that. I also got to give a shout-out to Justin G. You kind of give Justin G his flowers. He's kind of the reason why today even happened. Jedi, I'm going to get a jersey. So right now I'm rocking a Nathan Wolf. I'll get a jersey with Jedi Spidey on it. Can't get right this side of the pull-up today. From everybody that wanted to watch today's show when the Raiders ended up signing K'Lavon Chaisson. Better times are ahead.
You almost forgot.
Well, I saw a comment, and I was trying to read it at the same time from Raphael because he was mad that it was still 4th and 1. So I was like, why is he upset? Raiders signed K'Lavon Chaisson. They actually also signed Kai Blue Kelly to the practice squad. We wanted to go live. We wanted to celebrate it. We said that we would. That's what we do here at the Raiders Report. So real talk, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do. We'll see you guys Thursday, 90 minutes before the kickoff of this game. From me, from Chugs, I guess even Sam. Peace out.
Oh, wait. I need